Chapter 1809. Outside Foam Run City. The white-haired old man, who had a gloomy expression on his face, curled his lips in disdain when he heard Yu Howren's blatant threat. "Yu Howren, do you dare kill me? Old man, what do you think?" Yu Howren sneered as he pointed at the white-haired old man whose head he had just smashed. "Yu Howren, the reason you dared to kill Elder Ziyuan was because you didn't know the true identity of the master of the Yushu Temple's heavenly palace." The white-haired old man showed no fear in the face of Yu Howren's provocation. Instead, he threatened Yu Howren with a hint of arrogance. "Since you've already checked Elder Ziyuan's memories, you should also know the identity of the master of the heavenly palace and the chosen one. Now, do you still dare to kill me?" Boom! Yu Howren's counterattack was very simple and crude in the face of the white-haired old man's arrogant threat. He used the fist technique that had been passed down from the ancestral sorcerer to smash the old man's body and spirit into pieces. Even if the chosen one, Ji Xing, appeared here, Yu Howren, would kill him without hesitation, let alone a mere elder like you who doesn't know his place. Yu Howren declared arrogantly, as he swept his gaze across a few experts of the Yushu Temple's martial venerables and Emperor Wu's level. "Thank you, Prince Consort." Seeing Yu Howren kill the elder of the Hollow Jade Temple, who had threatened him without any hesitation, the elder with the surname who immediately cupped his fists in gratitude. Then he tore open the void and left Foam Run City. 3 seconds. I'll give you 3 seconds to leave. After Elder who left Foam Run City by tearing the void, Yu Howren gave a final warning to the thousands of experts outside the city. After 3 seconds, those who remain on the scene will choose to be my enemy. Those who oppose me, Yu Howren, will only have one outcome, and that is the destruction of their souls. 3. After giving the final warning, Yu Howren started counting down. In the face of Yu Howren's warning and countdown, more than half of the thousands of Wu Zun and Emperor Wu's experts showed hesitation in their eyes. The remaining people who were determined were those who had a grudge against him directly or indirectly. 2. Yu Howren continued to count down. Even though Yu Howren had only uttered the countdown in a normal voice, it was comparable to the presence of a martial god outside the city. This made many people who were hesitant to leave Foam Run City. They gradually made up their minds and began to fly away from Foam Run City. In response, the 5 powerhouses of the Yushu Temple looked very upset, but they did not continue to threaten him. 1. As the countdown ended, Yu Howren directly ordered Qin Lingfei and the others beside him. "Choose an opponent that suits you according to your strength and means. Do it." After hearing Yu Howren's order, Qin Lingfei and the others activated their defensive magic tools. After taking out their most powerful offensive magic tools, they directly attacked the remaining 600 Wu Zun and Emperor Wu experts outside the city. General Lan, immediately activate the offensive formation and kill the opponents in the martial venerable realm. When Qin Lingfei and the others rushed towards their opponents, Yu Howren ordered Lan Rong and the others, who had already activated their defensive and offensive formations. "Yes, sir." The 6 generals and 18 commanders worked together to control the offensive formation and quickly condensed a Pishio divine dragon with a lion's body and a dragon's head with a pair of wings on its back. After the Pishio divine dragon let out a deafening dragon roar to the sky, it roared and rushed towards the hundreds of Wu Zun experts outside the city. The offensive formation set up by Thaling using the 9 divine beast mountains had already reached the early stage of the divine level. Under the joint control of Lan Rong and the other 24 martial saints, it could exert the strength of Emperor Wu at the peak of the 7th level. However, Lan Rong and the others would not make any mistakes or be in any danger when dealing with the peerless experts in the martial venerable realm. Therefore, Yu Howren did not pay attention to the Pishio divine dragon that was crazily killing the Wu Zun experts. Half of his attention was on Qin Lingfei and the others, and the other half was to prevent anyone from taking the opportunity to escape. Among the 5, Fong Man's cultivation was the lowest, only at the peak of the 9th level martial saint realm. However, she used the sacred book of poison and the blood essence of the Heyman divine dragon to condense the Heyman poison. Every Emperor Wu who came into contact with the Heyman poison would be completely corroded into drops of smelly black water in 3 to 5 seconds. Yunxiang's cultivation was second to last, and she had just reached the early stage of the first-level martial saint realm. However, when facing experts in the Emperor Wu's realm, the new poison formed by the ghost-devouring poison and the 5 poison source allowed her to display lethality that was not inferior to Feng Man's at all. With the help of the hidden dragon ranking battle between the southern and central regions, and the large amount of top-grade pills that Yu Haoran had refined, Qin Lingfei had reached the early stage of the 9th-level martial saint realm. However, she was not naturally good at fighting. Even with the help of the natural spirit treasure golden dragon scissors, the speed and number of opponents she killed were far inferior to Yunxiang and Feng Man. The sword without trace, whose cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th-level martial saint realm, was affected by some special reasons. Her attacks were far less ruthless than before. With the help of the natural spirit treasure dragon binding rope, her speed and number of opponents she killed were the same as Qin Lingfei's. Fortunately, Wu Zhenjun, whose cultivation had reached the peak of the 3rd-level Emperor Wu, not only had his strength increased by leaps and bounds, but his bloodthirsty physique had also been stimulated to the limit. At the same time, his attacks were also more ferocious. Among the 5 of them, Wu Zhengjun was the fastest, and he had killed the most enemies. Seeing that Qin Lingfei and the other 4 had the absolute advantage in the face of hundreds of enemies, Yu Haoran breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, his divine thoughts directly locked on the 5 experts of the Yushu Temple who wanted to secretly escape. As Lan Rong and the others used the Pishio divine dragon formed by the attack formation to kill all the experts of the martial saint realm, and joined the Emperor Wu realm experts in the encirclement, the 5 experts from the Yushu Temple secretly took out an escape talisman. Want to escape? Seeing the 5 experts of the Yushu Temple secretly activating the escape talisman to escape from Feng Run City, Yu Haoran sneered. With the help of the flash and appearance law, he directly appeared in front of a middle-aged man who was about 40 years old and was at the peak of the 9th-level martial saint realm. Locking on with his divine thoughts and attacking with the ancestral sorcerer's fist skill easily killed his opponent. In an instant, Yu Haoran appeared in front of a middle-aged man in blue who had just reached the Emperor Wu realm in the Yushu Temple. After using the same divine thoughts and the same ancestral sorcerer's fist skill to kill his opponent, he continued to use the speed of the flash and appearance law to kill the other 2 experts of the Emperor Wu of the Yushu Temple. Chapter 1810. Outside Feng Run City. Just as Yu Haoran began to retreat quickly with the help of the power of law of speed and speed, the void 3 meters to his left was suddenly torn apart. Then, an extremely sharp sword, Qi, slashed at all the vital parts of his body. Without any hesitation, he used a sword technique of destruction and the immortal eliminating sword that appeared in his hand to meet the sharp sword Qi. Boom! With a roar that resounded through the sky, the sword Qi that was hurriedly released by the immortal eliminating sword was directly destroyed by the sneak attack of the sharp sword Qi. Then, the sharp sword Qi, which did not consume much of its power, slammed heavily into Yu Haoran's chest. Fortunately, the tower spirit reacted quickly and set up a layer of defensive formation for him at the first moment. It successfully offset 70% of the attack power of the sharp sword Qi. The double defense of the ancestral wizard's body and the Rui Bell offset 20% of the attack power. Therefore, although the sword Qi, which had less than 10% of its power, sent him flying dozens of meters away and caused him to spit out a mouthful of blood, he did not suffer any serious injuries. As Yu Haoran wiped the remaining blood from the corner of his mouth, he looked at the young man who stepped out of the void crack. His expression gradually became serious. He found that he could not see through the young man's real cultivation, which meant that the young man must be a divine spirit expert in the martial god realm. He just did not know what level of martial god his real cultivation was. Fortunately, Thowling in his sea of consciousness had seen the young man's cultivation through the sword technique that he had used during the sneak attack. The peak of the third grade martial god realm. Ji Ronghai greets the ancestor. Emperor Wu of the Yushu Temple, who had narrowly escaped death, immediately went forward and knelt in front of the young man after seeing him walk out of the void crack. He was extremely respectful. The young man, with an indifferent expression, looked at Yu Haoran with a hint of surprise in his eyes. He did not pay any attention to Ji Ronghai, who was bowing respectfully to him. I didn't expect you to not only have outstanding strength, but also have good reflexes. You were able to dodge my fatal blow. You flatter me. In the face of the young expert's surprised exclamation, Yu Haoran, who had quickly calmed down, mocked with an indifferent expression. However, I never expected that a divine spirit expert at the peak of third grade martial god realm would hide in the dark and launch a sneak attack like a scoundrel. It really refreshed my understanding of divine spirit experts. It also made me truly see the insidiousness and shamelessness of the Yushu Temple. The remnant soul that Zenyuanzi had left in the graveyard could easily kill the blue dragon and the white tiger, who were at the peak of the 6th level of the divine realm, with his cultivation at the early stage of the martial god realm. Thowling was able to defeat Zenyuanzi's soul fragment with ease after recovering his cultivation to the peak 3rd grade martial god realm. Both of them relied on the peak power of laws they had comprehended, as well as their usage of the profound mysteries of the laws. The young expert from the Yushu Temple in front of him was not as strong as the blue dragon and the white tiger. His comprehension of the power of laws and the profound mysteries of the laws were far inferior to Zenyuanzi's soul fragment. Therefore, he had no advantage in front of him. Yu Haoran did not need to be afraid of him. Boy, you're courting death. Not only did he mock him, but he also humiliated the Yushu Temple. After hearing Yu Haoran's sarcasm, the young expert instantly released a strong killing intent. At the same time, the divine sword in his hand immediately slashed out a more powerful sword chi that contained a trace of the profound mysteries of the laws. Blooming and withering. After confirming that his opponent was a divine spirit expert at the peak of the 3rd grade martial god realm, and knowing that Yu Haoran was no match for him, Thowling began to use the possession technique. As soon as Yu Haoran finished his sarcastic words, his divine soul began to take control of his body. Facing the young expert's sword chi that contained the profound mysteries of the laws, Thowling shouted softly and pointed at the young expert with an indifferent expression. Then, a special power that directly transcended the barriers of time and space instantly merged into the young expert's body. At the same time, Thowling waved his right sleeve, which also contained a trace of the profound mysteries of the laws, and directly dispersed the young expert's sword chi. Feeling that the special power that had merged into his body was frantically weakening his comprehension of the profound mysteries of the laws and depriving his life essence, the young expert could not help but panic. At the same time, he shouted at Yu Haoran with a fierce expression. Boy, what did you do to me just now? Why is my comprehension of the profound mysteries of the laws weakening? Why is my divine body and divine soul collapsing? Faced with the young expert's hoarse shout, Thowling ignored him and pointed at Ji Ronghai. A powerful soul energy condensed from his finger directly destroyed Ji Ronghai's divine soul, wiping out all the Yushu Temple experts who had besieged Feng Run City. Yu Haoran, I shouldn't have sneak attacked you. I was wrong. Seeing his comprehension of the profound mysteries of the laws being weakened and his divine body and divine soul collapsing, the young expert, whose cultivation had dropped to the peak of the 1st grade martial god realm, could not help but beg bitterly in fear. Unfortunately, Thowling's indifferent expression did not change at all in the face of the young expert's pleas. This made the young expert clearly realize that Thowling had no intention of letting him go. Under the threat of death, the young expert had completely fallen into madness. With a thought, he detonated the profound mysteries of the laws, his dantian, and his god soul. He planned to use the method of mutual destruction to bury Yu Haoran and the millions of people in Feng Run City with him. The space-time deprivation can weaken your comprehension of the profound mysteries of the laws and steal the divine soul's essence from your divine body and divine soul. At the same time, it can deprive you of your control of the profound mysteries of the laws, your dantian, your divine soul, and your divine soul. Thowling explained calmly in the face of the young expert's crazy plan. Faced with Thowling's indifferent explanation, the young expert, who had successfully sensed the profound mysteries of the laws, divine soul, and divine soul, had a trace of disdain in his crazy eyes. However, when he tried to detonate the profound mysteries of the laws, divine soul, and divine soul, he was horrified to discover that his consciousness could not control them at all. This made the young expert suffer a heavy blow. As his consciousness collapsed, he directly knelt down in the air and begged bitterly. Emperor's son-in-law, it's all Yunja's fault. Yunja has committed a heinous crime. However, as long as you can spare Yunja's life, Yunja is willing to hand over a part of my soul and become your loyal servant. The ancestor of the Ji clan of the Yushu Temple, a divine soul at the peak of the third-grade martial god realm, had not only proactively knelt down and begged for mercy in order to save his life, but he was also willing to become a servant. Chapter 1811. Outside Feng Run City. If Yu Haoran was the one in control of the body, he would have gladly agreed to subdue a divine spirit expert who was at the peak of the third-grade martial god realm. However, Thowling knew the methods of a divine spirit expert. He knew that even if he controlled the other party's soul and spirit, and even if the other party swore an oath to the heavenly Tao, he would still have a way to escape. Therefore, Thowling turned a blind eye to the young expert's temptation. His expression did not change at all as he looked at the other party. Prince Consort, as long as you let me go, I can tell you some secrets about the will of the heavens and the child of destiny. Seeing that Yu Haoran was not moved by the temptation at all, a hint of admiration and disappointment flashed in the young expert's eyes. After all, subduing a martial god expert would not only guarantee his safety, but he would also be able to receive guidance in martial arts cultivation. Faced with the temptation of killing two birds with one stone, not everyone could resist it. However, even though he admired Yu Haoran, when he felt that his cultivation had fallen to the martial Grand Emperor realm, the special power that had deprived him of the essence of his divine body and soul had begun to deprive him of his remaining 10,000 years of life force, and the threat of death was constantly approaching. In the end, he decided to take out his real trump card, hoping that it would make Yu Haoran more determined to kill him. If there was anyone in the world who knew the secrets of the will of the heavens and the child of destiny, it would be those who had experienced the destruction of the ancient, middle, and recent ancient times and were lucky enough to survive. Thowling was one of the few weapon spirits who had experienced and witnessed the destruction of the 3 years. Therefore, Thowling was not moved by the young expert's trump card. He still looked at the other party coldly. He watched as the other party's face gradually aged and his skin withered due to the continuous loss of life force. In the end, he completely turned into a pile of white powder and scattered on the ground outside Feng Run City. The only pity was that with the destruction of a young expert's divine body and soul, the independent space used to store the treasures also collapsed. The treasures that the other party had accumulated throughout his life had completely disappeared in the turbulence of space. I surrender. The dozens of Emperor Wu experts had different thoughts because of the weak performance of the Yushu Temple's divine spirit expert. When one of the Go clan's martial emperors saw Yu Haoran easily turn the other party into a pile of white powder using the profound mysteries of the laws, fear instantly surged into their hearts. Due to the influence of other thoughts, after dodging Fong Man's venomous attack, one of the Go clan's martial emperors immediately shouted out in surrender. When the Go clan's martial emperor expert took the initiative to admit defeat, it completely stirred up the other martial emperor's thoughts. At the same time as they dodged the attacks of Qin Ling Fei and the others, they also shouted loudly to admit defeat. I surrender! I surrender! Qin Ling Fei and the others, who had stopped attacking, looked directly at Yu Haoran and asked for his opinion. Glancing at the remaining 40 or so Emperor Wu experts, Yu Haoran, who had regained control of his body, hesitated for a moment. Then, he ordered Yun Xiang and Lan Rong. Xiang, General Lan, you are responsible for calculating our heavy losses this time. Let them pay 10 times the compensation, and then let them leave Feng Run City. Yes, master. Yes, master. After Yun Xiang and Lan Rong responded, they gathered together to discuss the compensation for the 40 or so Emperor Wu experts. Qin Lingfei and the others stared at them covetously to prevent them from escaping by means of tearing the void and using top-level escape talismans. In response, Yu Haoran didn't stay any longer. He directly returned to the mansion floating above Feng Run City. Sitting cross-legged in the practice room of the mansion, Yu Haoran didn't check the cultivation insights left by Zhen Yuanzi. Instead, he frowned slightly and pondered. According to the secret revealed by the Black Tortoise, the reason why the experts of the martial god realm could be born in advance was mainly to deal with the book spirit in Jin Yuan's tomb. According to the requirements of the will of heaven, as long as the matter of Jin Yuan's tomb was over, all the experts above the martial god realm among the guardian families, reclusive families, top sects, and individual cultivators must continue to abide by the agreement that they were not allowed to come out for the time being. This was also the main reason why he didn't pay too much attention to the situation around him when he killed the Yushu Temple's Wu Zun and Emperor Wu experts. However, from the sneak attack of the young experts of the Yushu Temple, he realized that he had underestimated the shamelessness and courage of the Yushu Temple. He had also overlooked the importance of the will of heaven to Ji Xing, the Chosen One. According to the introduction of the strength of the Yushu Temple in the Jade Slip given to him by the Black Tortoise, although the Yushu Temple was in a predicament of being strong on the outside but weak on the inside, they were still far stronger than his side. If the other side took advantage of his return to the primeval forest to send out even stronger martial god experts, then given the strength of Lu Yuan, Palace, and the others, it would be impossible for them to resist the other side's attack. Therefore, before leaving Feng Run City, he had to find a way to improve the city's defenses so that Qin Lingfei and the others could hold on until the moment he returned. Yu Haoran, don't worry. When I left Wu Zhong's spirit behind, I already considered using the spirit of a god to improve the defensive power of the Prince's Mansion and Feng Run City's formations. After hearing Yu Haoran express his worries and thoughts, Faling thought for a moment and smiled as he comforted him. Therefore, during this period of time, you just need to continue to improve your alchemy cultivation. Leave the rest to me and my second clone. Okay, then I'll have to trouble you. Seeing that Faling had a way to improve the defensive formation of the Prince's Mansion and Feng Run City, Yu Haoran breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, he took out the jade slip left by Zhen Yuanzi and continued to immerse himself in the cultivation of alchemy. As someone who had lived in the heavenly earth chamber of commerce since childhood, Yun Xiang knew how to maximize the benefits. Therefore, according to the cultivation, strength, potential, temperament, and the strength of the forces behind Emperor Wu experts, she made compensations that made each of the Emperor Wu experts angry, but reluctantly acceptable. Although Yun Xiang's approach made Feng Run City gain a lot, it also made the 40 Emperor Wu experts who had regained their freedom, because of the anger and depression in their hearts, leak the news that Ji Yuan was the Chosen One and Yu Haoran had the ginseng fruit, the primordial spiritual treasure, and the strength of a martial god, which immediately caused a tsunami-like shock in the entire Tianxin continent. Fortunately, because of the fear of Yu Haoran's strength, no experts came to snatch the ginseng fruit, and no forces dared to provoke him. Even in the ancient and Middle Ages during the heyday of auxiliary cultivation, the pill god was a rare existence. The influence of the alchemy Tao and pill deity was not inferior to the supreme existence who had just entered the supreme realm. If Yu Haoran could successfully break through to the realm of alchemy Tao and pill deity by refining a rank 1 immortal ascension pill, then the sensation it would cause would not be inferior to the storm caused by the fake destined child and the ginseng fruit. At the same time, the influence of the alchemy Tao and pill deity on the situation in the Tianxian continent would probably attract the attention of the heavens consciousness and accelerate the return of some experts. Yu Haoran, how confident are you that you can break through successfully? It was precisely because the impact of breaking through to the realm of alchemy Tao and pill deity was too great that Thaling urgently wanted to know how confident Yu Haoran was that he could break through to the realm of alchemy Tao and pill deity so that he could prepare in advance. 50%. With his current accumulation of alchemy Tao and pill deity condensation technique that had advanced to the second level, he had at least a 70 to 80% chance of breaking through. However, breaking through to the realm of alchemy Tao and pill deity was the same as breaking through to the realm of martial deity. It involved the profoundness of the power of laws. If it were not for the ginseng fruit that allowed him to touch upon the profoundness of the laws of life and death, he was afraid that he would not even have a 20% chance of breaking through. I can take the risk and give it a try. Under normal circumstances, regardless of whether it was a breakthrough in the realm of martial Tao or a breakthrough in the realm of auxiliary cultivation, as long as there was a 20 to 30% chance of breaking through, one would basically choose to try. It did not matter even if one failed to break through to the final realm. One could accumulate experience from the process of failure and be more prepared for the next breakthrough. Thaling, I'll have to trouble you to protect me from now on. The increase in the power of the defensive formation had greatly guaranteed the safety of the prince's mansion. However, one could never be too careful. Moreover, if he succeeded in breaking through to the realm of alchemy Tao and pill deity, then the heaven and earth phenomenon that would occur during the process of breaking through to the realm of alchemy Tao would definitely alarm all the forces in the Tianxian continent. At that time, some people with evil intentions might take the opportunity to do something extreme. Yu Haoran did not have the slightest bit of certainty in his heart. Yu Haoran, don't worry. I'll take care of everything. Thaling assured him with a smile in the face of Yu Haoran's worries. After receiving Thaling's assurance, Yu Haoran took a deep breath and then slowly closed his eyes to adjust his emotions. When his emotions had completely calmed down, he suddenly opened his eyes and his 10 fingers quickly began to condense the imprints of the pill deity condensation technique. However, unlike before, the imprints condensed this time did not imprint into the independent space where the alchemy fire was condensed in midair. Instead, they directly left the prince's mansion and merged into the ground below the mansion. When the first imprint merged into the ground within 100 miles of Foam Run City suddenly shook. When a second imprint merged into the ground within 1,000 miles of Foam Run City shook. When the third imprint merged into the ground within 1,000 miles of Foam Run City shook. When the fourth imprint merged into the ground, although the ground around Foam Run City no longer shook, traces of pure earth vein fire gradually emerged from the ground, and then slowly rose into the air and condensed into a huge alchemy furnace in midair. In the backyard of the prince's mansion, Yu Haoran also condensed a smaller alchemy furnace in front of him. This furnace was burning with earth vein fire. This is the legendary Zimu Qingquan furnace, which is also known as the sacred alchemy weapon, the great furnace of heaven and earth. His gaze passed through the barrier of his sea of consciousness and looked at the slightly smaller alchemy furnace in front of him. His divine sense passed through the barrier of the prince's mansion and looked at the incomparably huge alchemy furnace. A trace of familiarity welled up in his heart, causing Thaling to once again shout out the origin of the alchemy furnace in extreme shock. Double refining, double nourishment, double nurturing. Looking at the alchemy furnace that was gradually condensing in front of him, Yu Haoran explained with a trace of excitement. Chapter 1813. In Foam Run City. Ever since Yu Haoran condensed the first mark and merged it into the earth and caused a tremor within 100 miles of Foam Run City, Lan Rong and the others became vigilant. Lan Rong and the other 5 generals left the place of cultivation one after another, and then mobilized their divine sense to trace the cause of the tremor. However, the result of the investigation was to no avail. The tremor seemed to have appeared out of thin air. Helplessly, Lan Rong could only report to Qin Lingfei, who stayed in the prince's mansion, through the communication jade talisman, hoping that the prince consort, who had many tricks up his sleeve, could personally investigate the cause of the tremor. After receiving Lan Rong's report, Qin Lingfei called the sword without trace, Zhongli Shuiqin, Yun Xiang, and Feng Man to Fengrun City, and also could not find the cause of the tremor. However, when the earth vein fire emerged from the earth and gradually condensed into a huge pill furnace above Fengrun City, the knowledgeable Zhongli Shuiqin was slightly shocked, and her eyes revealed a look of disbelief as she cried out involuntarily. This is the great furnace of heaven and earth created by Laozi in the Middle Ages. It's a mother and child universe pill furnace specially used to refine divine pills. After hearing Zhongli Shuiqin cry out involuntarily, Qin Lingfei and the others all looked at the prince's mansion because they already knew the cause of the tremor. That was their beloved lover, their respected master, who was using the refined divine pills to break through to the alchemy deity realm. General Lan, immediately activate the defensive formation of Fengrun City to prevent the rascals from disturbing the prince consort's breakthrough in the alchemy deity realm. After being pleasantly surprised, Qin Lingfei quickly calmed down and solemnly ordered Lan Rong and the others. Subordinate obeys. In the past, the prince consort had personally promised that as long as his alchemy cultivation broke through to the alchemy deity realm, he would help them refine pills that could directly break through to the martial venerable Emperor Wu and martial deity realm. Now, it had only been 10 days since the promise he made back then, and the prince consort had already started to break through to the pill god realm. This made Lan Rong and the others extremely excited, and they immediately went to activate the defensive formation in the city. They also secretly made up their minds to protect the prince consort's successful breakthrough. Qin Lingfei waited until Lan Rong and the others went to activate the defensive matrix formation in the city. Then, she quickly returned to the front of the white tiger statue in the front yard of the prince's mansion and activated the defensive matrix formation of the mansion. As the last seal merged with the earth of Fengrun City, the two pill furnaces outside and inside the mansion were completely condensed. With the special connection between the mother and child universe cauldrons, Yu Haoran could clearly sense the structure and function of the heaven and earth cauldron outside the mansion. After taking a deep breath and calming the surging yuan power in his body, Yu Haoran started to toss the herbs placed in front of him into the cauldron one by one. When the herbs in the cauldron were refined into pure spirit liquid in less than 3 seconds, the pure spirit liquid suddenly disappeared into thin air in the cauldron. Then, a ball of pure spirit liquid the size of a fist appeared in the heaven and earth cauldron outside the mansion. Just as the fist-sized spirit liquid appeared, a white flame that was infinitely close to being transparent instantly appeared in the heaven and earth cauldron. Under the repeated refinement of the white flame, the volume of the spirit liquid began to shrink continuously. Soon, it became a spirit liquid the size of a cherry. Elixirs of level 1 and above were also known as divine elixirs. In addition to the need to guide a trace of the mystery of the law and the main ingredient into the elixir during the refining process, the purity of the spirit liquid must be refined to the limit at the same time. The refinement of the spirit liquid to the limit was the first insurmountable obstacle that countless pill emperors of the pill Tao faced. However, the advancement to the second level of the nihility pill condensation technique allowed Yu Haoran to easily overcome this insurmountable obstacle. Within a radius of 10,000 miles around Fengrun City, there were more than 20 cities that Lan Rong and the others had not conquered. The earthquake caused by using the nihility pill condensation technique to condense the heaven and earth cauldron alarmed countless experts in these cities. Martial grandmasters, martial kings, and martial emperors of the martial emperor realm flew into the air according to the direction of the earthquake. Martial sages, martial honors, Emperor Wu, and demigod realm experts used their divine senses to investigate the cause of the earthquake. Finally, they saw the huge cauldron that was condensed above Fengrun City. Although they knew that Fengrun City had already been conquered by Yu Haoran and the 100,000 elite soldiers led by him, and if they rashly approached it, they might arouse his disgust. However, the huge cauldron burning with white flames was obviously not an ordinary item. Driven by greed and wishful thinking, martial sages, martial honors, Emperor Wu, and demigod realm experts also flew into the air and rushed to Feng Run City. However, when they were still 100 miles away from Feng Run City, they saw the white flames emerging from the huge cauldron and the spiritual liquid being refined by the white flames. They vaguely guessed that the huge cauldron in front of them was most likely condensed by Yu Haoran himself. Its purpose was to refine top-notch elixirs. Although the cauldron in front of them was not a heaven-defying treasure, and they were slightly disappointed, being able to witness the top alchemist of the Tianxian continent refining top-notch elixirs with their own eyes was also a kind of opportunity that could only be encountered but not sought. Therefore, the experts who continuously rushed to Feng Run City did not leave. Instead, they quietly watched the entire process of refining elixirs in the heaven and earth cauldron. In other words, the entire process of Yu Haoran using alchemy to break through to the alchemy divinity realm. After the nihility pill condensation technique had advanced to the second level of the heaven and earth cauldron, not only was the spiritual liquid refined more pure, but the speed of refining medicinal herbs was also faster. In just 5 minutes, 82nd level medicinal herb from the first to the 9th level of the second level had all been refined successfully. After taking a deep breath and slowly exhaling, Yu Haoran directly picked up the pill bottle containing the first level primordial profound ginseng liquid. After opening the pill bottle without any hesitation, he directly threw the liquid into the cauldron. Boom! Accompanied by the terrifying impact of the energy, the cauldron, condensed by the nihility pill condensation technique, began to shake. The first level primordial profound ginseng was already equivalent to a first-level martial god expert. A drop of liquid from the primordial profound ginseng was equivalent to a drop of life essence from a martial god expert. The energy contained in a drop of life essence from a martial god expert was enough to destroy everything within tens of thousands of miles of Feng Run City. Therefore, after feeling the threat of the cauldron condensed by the earth fire, the liquid immediately erupted with terrifying energy. Split. Yu Haoran had long expected that the liquid with instinctive consciousness would not be willing to be refined. The moment the liquid erupted with terrifying energy, he immediately merged the condensed imprint into the cauldron. As the imprint merged into the cauldron, the white flames within the cauldron quickly condensed into a white flaming sword. Then, the flaming sword directly cut the energy that erupted from the liquid in half. Chapter 1814. Inside the prince's mansion, the primordial profound ginseng liquid that had lost half of its energy was no longer able to move the cauldron formed by the earth vein fire. Furthermore, under the compression and refinement of the cauldron's flame, the energy that erupted from the liquid started to gather and purify. At the same time, the other half of the terrifying energy that was transferred to the heaven and earth cauldron also condensed into a drop of primordial profound ginseng liquid that had shrunk by half under the pressure of the white flame in the cauldron. This is the primordial profound ginseng that has reached rank 1. It can directly help Emperor Wu reach the peak of rank 9. When he saw the drop of spirit liquid that contained a special aura in the heaven and earth cauldron, a demigod expert who had seen the primordial profound ginseng before exclaimed, "Sizzle." After hearing the demigod expert's exclamation pointing out the origin and rank of the spirit liquid in the cauldron, more than 10,000 experts present couldn't help but gasp at the same time. The reason why they gasped was not only because the primordial profound ginseng liquid was more precious, but also because Yu Hao was actually using rank 1 spiritual herbs in the pill that he was refining. Could it be that he was planning to refine a rank 1 divine pill? However, with his pill emperor realm, it was impossible for him to refine a divine pill unless his pill Dao realm had already advanced. Being able to suppress the terrifying energy that erupted from the primordial profound ginseng liquid was only the first step in the refining process. Next, how to guide the trace of law contained in the liquid into the spirit liquid was the key to whether the pill could be refined in the end. His consciousness entered the cauldron in front of him to increase the refining speed of the cauldron's earth vein fire. At the same time, he carefully sensed and searched for the trace of law contained in the liquid. Fortunately, by relying on his profound knowledge of the pill Tao and his comprehension of the dual laws of life and death, after searching for more than 10 minutes, he finally managed to sense a trace of the dual laws of barrier breaking contained within the liquid. Using the mother and child heaven and earth cauldron's mutual transfer method, he transferred the liquid from the heaven and earth cauldron into the cauldron. Then, using his consciousness, he carefully controlled the dual laws of barrier breaking contained in the 2 drops of liquid and slowly merged them into the spirit liquid that had already been refined. Immediately after, he quickly retracted his thoughts. His 10 fingers quickly formed the seal of condensing the pill and began to solidify the spiritual liquid in the pill furnace. After using a total of 81 seals, the spiritual liquid in the pill furnace finally condensed into a pill the size of a watermelon under the effect of the seals. As a first-stage, first-grade immortal ascension pill, there were 3 obstacles that could easily lead to failure during the refining process. The first difficulty was how to guide the profundity of the laws within the grand beginning's mysterious ginseng liquid into the purified spirit liquid. Therefore, Yu Haoran's nervous expression only relaxed a little after the spiritual liquid that contained the profound mysteries of the laws had completely solidified into a pill. After that, he continued to use the mother and child heaven and earth furnaces to transfer the solidified pills to the heaven and earth furnace outside the mansion to undergo the first pill nourishment process. Greetings, elder son. Greetings, benefactor son. Greetings, senior son. Just as Yu Haoran was transferring the condensed pills to the heaven and earth furnace, a silver-haired old man in a gray robe with a gentle expression and a benevolent expression appeared out of thin air 81 miles away from the heaven and earth furnace. He carried a medicine basket on his back. When they saw the silver-haired old man with the medicine basket on his back, nearly 1,000 Emperor Wu and demigod experts among the tens of thousands of martial artists gathered 100 miles away hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. Sister Sui Jin, who is this rather popular old man? Qin Lingfei, who was sitting cross-legged under the white tiger statue in a mansion, used the core of the array formation to condense a mirror that could clearly reflect everything within 1,000 miles of the mansion. Therefore, when the silver-haired old man with the medicine basket on his back appeared and caused the thousands of people present to bow respectfully, she couldn't help but ask Zhongli Shuiqin. His name is Sun Yaonong, an ancestor of the Sun clan, an alchemy family in the eastern region. He is both a respectable expert and a pitiful old man. Zhongli Shuiqin's eyes revealed a trace of admiration when she saw the silver-haired old man greeting everyone one by one. She introduced him in a complicated tone. Sun Yaonong was the clansman with the strongest talent and comprehension in alchemy in the Sun clan. He became an alchemy grandmaster at the age of 19 and advanced to alchemy grandmaster at the age of 24. At the age of 33, he already had 70% of the strength to break through to the alchemy emperor realm. At the same time, Sun Yaonong was also a genius in alchemy. Not only did he try his best to find and restore many lost pills from ancient, medieval, and recent times, but he also relied on his amazing talent in alchemy to create some brand new pills. For example, the 100-will pill that could extend one's lifespan by 100 years, the royal barrier breaking pill that could assist in breaking through to the martial emperor realm, and other pills were all created by him alone. However, if he wanted to create a brand new pill, not only did he have to understand the medicinal properties and combinations of the herbs needed to refine the pill, he also had to try and experiment with the refined pill. Perhaps it was because of the arrogance of a monstrous genius, or perhaps it was because he was overconfident in his alchemy abilities, But whether it was restoring lost pills or creating brand new pills, Sun Yaonong personally tried and experimented with them. Just before Sun Yaonong was about to break through to the Alchemy Emperor realm, he created a pill that could assist in comprehending the power of laws. He disregarded the advice of his clansmen and experimented with it himself. The result: the power of laws formed in the brand new pill had a fatal conflict with the power of laws that he had comprehended himself. Not only did it almost destroy Sun Yaonong's soul, but it also caused his alchemy talent to suffer an unimaginable and irreparable injury. The injury to his alchemy talent not only caused Sun Yaonong to lose the hope of breaking through to the Alchemy Emperor realm, but it also caused him to gradually lose the ability to refine pills. If an ordinary person encountered such an unforeseen event, they would either lose all hope and completely sink into despair or focus on cultivation in the martial way. However, Sun Yaonong was not affected by the injury to his alchemy talent at all. He relied on his shocking comprehension of the alchemy way to continuously increase his knowledge and experience in the alchemy way, and he even took the initiative to give pointers to alchemists with talent in the alchemy way. For example, the famous 10 great alchemy masters in the Tianxian continent had all received pointers from Sun Yaonong before. Sister Sui Jin, the prince consort, had already displayed shocking talent in the alchemy way 3 years ago. Why didn't this old man take the initiative to give pointers to the prince consort? After hearing Zhongli Shuiqin's introduction of Sun Yaonong, the sword without trace, Yun Xiang, and Feng Man all revealed expressions of admiration. Chapter 1815. Inside the prince's mansion. Since ancient times, scholars despised each other, martial artists valued each other, and geniuses were jealous of each other. Sun Yaonong was willing to take the initiative to guide those alchemists who had a certain level of talent in alchemy, because those alchemists' talent and comprehension were far inferior to his. Through seemingly selfless guidance and teaching, Sun Yaonong could not only gain the respect and gratitude of those alchemists, but also improve his own reputation. What about you, Howren? When he had just entered the realm of Alchemy Grandmaster, he could easily refine the 5 Lives Mystery Gate elixir that could lead to the punishment of the heavenly tribulation and help a half-tribulation martial venerable to overcome the mental tribulation. The alchemy talent and comprehension that Yu Howren had shown back then were not inferior to Sun Yaonong's. He was even better than Sun Yaonong in some aspects of alchemy experience. With Sun Yaonong's pride, not only would he not personally guide Yu Howren in alchemy cultivation, but he would also try to avoid meeting him as much as possible. The reason why Sun Yaonong took the initiative to show up this time was probably related to Yu Howren's heaven and earth furnace and the elixir that he was refining. However, even the knowledgeable Zhongli Shuiqin did not know what kind of elixir Yu Howren was refining with the primordial mysterious ginseng liquid. Senior Sun, with your eyesight, I wonder if you can see the type and grade of the elixir that Elixir Emperor Yu is refining now. After Sun Yaonong returned the greetings one by one, a First Tribulation demigod expert who had a good relationship with the Sun family asked with anticipation in his eyes. Sun Yaonong raised his head and looked at the pill the size of a watermelon in the furnace. Recalling the origin and grade of every medicinal ingredient that Yu Howren had refined, Sun Yaonong said with an incomparably solemn expression, "If this old man's judgment is correct, the medicinal pellet that Pill Emperor Yu is currently concocting should be a rank 1 immortal ascension pellet capable of assisting peak level 9 martial emperors and demigods in breaking through to the martial god realm." After hearing Sun Yaonong's speculation, all the experts of Emperor Wu in the demigod realm were shocked and speechless. At the same time, their eyes were filled with greed and desire as they looked at the elixir in the furnace. The martial god realm, that was the realm where one could see through the mysteries of life and death and become an immortal god. It was also the realm that every cultivator dreamed of. Zhongli Shuiqin stood up excitedly because she knew that if Yu Howren could successfully refine the pill in the end, he would be willing to take out an immortal ascension pill as a marriage proposal. In that case, Those old fellows in the clan who doted on their descendants would definitely not obstruct them in order to obtain a rank 1 first rank immortal ascension pill. Senior son, according to this junior's understanding of the Tao of alchemy, it seems that only the realm of alchemy god has the ability to refine stage 1 immortal ascension pills. Could it be that Alchemy Emperor Yu has already reached the highest realm of alchemy god? Although he was eager to obtain an immortal ascension pill that could help him break through to the martial god realm, the immortal ascension pill was still in its embryonic form. There were still many steps before it could be completed. Therefore, many Emperor Wu and demigod masters who had strong mental fortitude immediately thought of a crucial question after quickly calming down from their shock. Furthermore, the demigod master from earlier took the initiative to ask this question. No. After shaking his head to deny the demigod master's speculation, Sun Yaonong's eyes revealed a hint of envy and jealousy as he replied. Just like when Yu Haoran successfully advanced to the alchemy god realm, the entire Tianxian continent would produce a heaven and earth phenomenon with a faint medicinal fragrance. When he breaks through to the alchemy god realm, a heaven and earth phenomenon would also appear. When the time comes, no matter if it's an ordinary village, city, forbidden area, or even a secret realm that is in a different space from the Tianxian continent, the silhouette of an alchemy god realm powerhouse will appear. Senior son, since Alchemy Emperor Yu has not become an alchemy god, why would he take the risk to refine a rank 1 first rank immortal ascension pill that is impossible to succeed? Based on Sun Yaonong's explanation, the demigod masters who knew that Yu Haoran had not become an alchemy god could not help but ask this question. According to Alchemy Emperor Yu's advancement in the Tao of alchemy over the past few years, I think he wants to use the comprehension and gains from refining the rank 1 first rank immortal ascension pill to directly break through to the alchemy god realm. Sun Yaonong, who was deep in thought, speculated with an uncertain tone. When the time comes, not only will he be able to successfully advance to the alchemy god realm, but he will also be able to obtain a rank 1 first rank immortal ascension pill. Inside the prince's mansion, sensing that the pill in the heaven and earth cauldron was almost fully nourished, Yu Haoran moved the pill back into the cauldron with a thought. Then, he proceeded with the second round of nourishment. At the same time, he made use of the gap in the nourishment process to try to break through to the alchemy god realm. Unfortunately, he did not succeed in breaking through the bottleneck of the alchemy god realm even after the second round of nourishment in the cauldron had ended. Yu Haoran, who knew that his accumulation in the Tao of alchemy was still not deep enough, was not too disappointed in his heart. He took a deep breath and calmed his emotions that were caused by breaking through the bottleneck of the alchemy god realm. His 10 fingers quickly formed the mark of dividing the pill and imprinted it on the watermelon-sized pill in the cauldron. The second difficulty in refining a rank 1 first rank immortal ascension pill was how to perfectly divide and distribute the profound mysteries of the laws in the pill during the process of dividing the pill. Considering his own cultivation in the Tao of alchemy and his unfamiliarity with refining a rank 1 first rank immortal ascension pill for the first time, Yu Haoran did not dare to have extravagant hopes that he would be able to refine 9 pills in the end. Therefore, he made use of his peak state and his comprehension of the profound mysteries of the laws of life and death to successfully divide and distribute the profound mysteries of the laws into 5 pills. After that, the remaining 4 pills only had pure medicinal energy. Seeing 5 full and round pills floating in the cauldron, as well as 4 slightly smaller pills that were similarly sparkling and translucent, Yu Haoran secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he used his mind to send the 9 pills into the heaven and earth cauldron outside the mansion to undergo the first round of nourishment after dividing the pills. At the same time, he continued to make use of the gap in the first round of nourishment after dividing the pills to break through the bottleneck of the alchemy god realm. 5 immortal ascension pills and 4 false immortal pills. Looks like Pill Emperor Yu is a cautious person. Sun Yaonong observed the 9 pills that had appeared in the cauldron out of thin air with narrowed eyes. His expression was filled with admiration as he sighed emotionally. Senior son, what are false immortal pills? Could it be that one cauldron can refine two different types of pills? After hearing Sun Yaonong's sigh, the demigod expert who had questioned him earlier could not help but frown as he continued to ask. The reason why immortal ascension pills can help peak ninth grade martial gods and demigods break through to the martial god realm is because the pills contain a trace of the profound aura of the laws. Sun Yaonong's eyes revealed a yearning expression as he looked at the 9 pills in the cauldron. Since Pill Emperor, you was able to successfully sense and separate the profound mysteries of the laws from the primordial profound ginseng liquid. It means that he has already touched upon the profound mysteries of the power of laws that he primarily cultivates. Chapter 1816. In the air outside Foam Run City, Sun Yaonong suddenly stopped explaining and turned around to look at the void 10,000 meters away. His eyes flashed with disdain as he spoke sarcastically. Since you're already here, there's no need to hide anymore. Come out. In the face of Sun Yaonong's inexplicable mockery, the more than 30,000 masters and powerhouses present, as well as Qin Lingfei and the others in the mansion, immediately used their divine consciousness to check the void that Sun Yaonong was staring at. However, they found nothing. Only Zhongli Shuiqin's expression gradually became serious. You don't want to come out? After waiting for a full minute, Sun Yaonong asked with a sneer as he looked at the void without any ripples. Then, a small white snake that was about 7 to 8 centimeters long darted out of his sleeve. It was almost transparent. The snake coiled around Sun Yaonong's finger. It raised its head and looked at the void 10,000 meters away. The snake opened its mouth slightly and let out a harsh hiss. Accompanied by the harsh hiss, an invisible wave of power suddenly appeared in the void that Sun Yaonong was staring at. Immediately after, the calm void seemed to have been sliced apart, and layers of ripples appeared. Yaonong, stop! A helpless voice came from the ripples of the void that had been cut. Accompanied by the helpless voice, 7 white-haired old men in different clothes flashed out of the ripples of the void that had been cut. Through the mirror formed by the formation, Qin Lingfei looked at the 7 white-haired old men who had appeared from the ripples in the void and immediately asked with hostility, Sister Suijin, who are these 7 old men? Bo Qing, Bo Hong, Hailan, Digu, Luo Qing, Ta Hen, Lu Zong. They were the last 7 rogue cultivators to reach the martial god realm before the end of the ancient era. They were also one of the lucky few to survive the end of the ancient era. Zhongli Shuiqin replied with a serious expression. Sister Suijin, since they are immortal martial gods, why are they still spying on the rank 1, grade 1 immortal pill that Prince Consort is refining? The Yushu Temple's Einherjar masters were cowardly and cowardly. Their behavior of kneeling and begging for mercy completely changed the way Qin Lingfei and the others viewed deity-level masters. As a result, Qin Lingfei did not feel the slightest fear when she heard Zhongli Shuiqin say that the other party was a martial god. She only asked in confusion, I don't know either. Shaking her head, Zhongli Shuiqin looked at Bo Qing's group of 7 with confusion in her eyes. Brother Bo, are the 7 of you trying to destroy Yu Haoran's breakthrough in the Pill God realm, or are you trying to take his life? Sun Yaonong, who was familiar with and understood Bo Qing and the others, questioned with a serious expression. What's the difference? Looking at the 9 elixirs that were being nourished in the heaven and earth furnace, Bo Qing, who had the highest cultivation and the strongest strength among the 7, asked with an indifferent expression. Of course. Sun Yaonong nodded as he stroked the little white snake's head. If you're trying to destroy Pill Emperor Yu Haoran's breakthrough in the Pill God realm, then I hope that you can give up on this idea on account of this old man. This is because the breakthrough in the Pill God realm is related to whether the Pill Dao's luck can truly rise. If you're trying to take Pill Emperor Yu Haoran's life, then this old man, who admits that he is no match for you, will leave this place right now. After hearing Sun Yaonong's attitude, Qing Bo and the others looked at each other. Then, Ta Hen, who had the most outstanding temperament, took a step forward and took out an imperial edict that radiated purple light. He opened it and read it. By the order of the heavens, by the order of fate, Yu Haoran has committed a heinous crime that is unpardonable. He is hated by both man and God and cannot be punished. The seven supreme gods, Bo Qing, Bo Hong, Hailan, Digu, Luo Qing, Ta Hin, and Lu Zong, are hereby ordered to join forces and punish him. If there is anyone who complies with the will of the heavens, they will be rewarded with eternal life without suffering the pain of reincarnation. They will never fall into the calamity of immeasurable calamity. If there is anyone who goes against the will of the heavens, their entire family will be exterminated. After hearing the imperial edict announced by Ta Hin, no matter if it was Sun Yaonong or Zhongli Shuiqin, who was in the mansion, their faces instantly turned gloomy. This was because the imperial edict that Ta Hin had just announced represented that the will of the heavens had officially interfered with the matters of the profound sky continent. At the same time, it also predicted that the child of destiny was planning to start the calamity of immeasurable calamity. Ta Hin, if I, Sun Yaonong, don't comply with the will of the heavens, are the seven of you really going to exterminate my Sun clan? Sun Yaonong, whose eyes were burning with flames, looked straight at Ta Hin, who had just announced the imperial edict, and questioned with gritted teeth. Those who don't comply with the will of the heavens and don't go against the will of the heavens, although they won't receive any punishment, they also won't receive any protection from the child of destiny. When the immeasurable calamity descends, they still won't be able to escape death. After putting away the imperial edict that was radiating purple light, Ta Hin glanced at the little white snake that was coiled around Sun Yaonong's finger. After a trace of fear appeared in his eyes, he tried his best to maintain a gentle tone of persuasion. So, Brother Yaonong, regardless of whether it's for yourself or for the countless clansmen behind you, it's best that you stand on our side today and work together to exterminate the treacherous sinner Yu Haoran. Life and death are decreed by fate. Riches and honor are determined by the heavens. Facing Ta Hin's persuasion, Sun Yaonong's eyes revealed a look as if he was facing death unflinchingly as he refuted. If I, Sun Yaonong, and the Sun clan are ultimately destroyed in the calamity of immeasurable calamity, then it means that our luck has run out. I believe that my clansmen will be able to understand my current choice and will be able to face death calmly. However, if we become the lackeys of the will of the heavens and Ji Xing, then we will not only lose our dignity and freedom, but even the martial hearts that we have always adhered to will have flaws. We will forever lose the hope of breaking through to the martial god realm and the honorable realm. Sun Yaonong's rebuttal that faced death unflinchingly caused the hesitation in the eyes of many Emperor Wu and demigod experts present to be quickly replaced by resolute expressions. Well said. Qin Lingfei, who was standing under the white tiger statue in the mansion, clenched her fists tightly and cheered excitedly. Due to Sun Yaonong's rebuttal, the prince's mansion had avoided the danger of being surrounded. Good. The gentle smile on Ta Hin's face was instantly replaced by a gloomy one. After gritting his teeth and saying good 3 times, he turned his head and asked Bo Qing, "Big brother, what do you think we should do next?" Bo Qing lowered her head and glanced at Sun Yaonong, who was unafraid of death, and the little white snake coiled around his finger. She could not help but sigh softly. She looked at the furnace again and gave her orders with a fierce, murderous aura. Immediately break through the mansion's defenses and quickly kill the heinous Yu Haoran. Complete the orders of the will of the heavens and destiny's child. All right. Chapter 1817. Inside the prince's mansion. Looking at Bo Qing's group of 7 who were surrounding the prince consort's residence. Looking at Qin Lingfei and the others who were activating the residence's defensive formation with all their might. And looking at Yu Haoran, who was trying his best to break through to the Pill Dao's Pill God realm. The pagoda spirit who was holding the Yuan killer sword tightly in his sea of consciousness could not help but sigh softly. Afterwards, he left Yu Haoran's sea of consciousness in a flash and floated in the Xianwang Qi of the mansion. With a soft cry, he directly swung his sword at Ta Hen, who was about to shatter the heaven and earth furnace. Clear forgiveness sword. Following Thaling's soft cry, a sharp sword chi that transcended time and space instantly appeared in front of Ta Hen, giving him a fright as he was using a divine level fist technique. However, when he felt that the sharp sword chi was only at the peak of the 9th level of Emperor Wu, he mistakenly thought that it was Yu Haoran's sword technique. A trace of disdain flashed through Ta Hen's eyes as he continued to use the divine level fist technique and did not make any defensive moves. When cultivators successfully broke through to the martial god realm, the origin energy in their dantian would transform into divine power of a higher quality. Under the nourishment of the divine power, their divine body would become stronger and stronger. With his cultivation at the peak of the 4th level of the martial god realm, his physical body had been nourished by divine power for tens of millions of years. The defensive strength of his divine body was already equivalent to a divine weapon at the peak of the lower level of the divine realm. In Ta Hen's opinion, even if he stood still and allowed Yu Haoran to attack him, he would not be able to harm his divine body at all. However, to Ta Hen's surprise, the sharp sword chi that slashed at him did not cause any impact or damage. Instead, it directly merged with his divine body. This made him feel extremely confused. Being a suspicious person, he immediately stopped using the fist technique and began to carefully examine his body. In the end, he did not discover anything abnormal. Since there was nothing abnormal, it meant that the sword technique Yu Haoran had just used was not even as powerful as that of an ordinary peak 9th level expert like Emperor Wu. Thus, after secretly heaving a sigh of relief, Stepscar couldn't help but complain to the will of the heavens and Destiny's Child's orders. It seems like the will of the heavens and Destiny's Child are too fearful. This Yu Haoran is not as powerful as the rumors say. However, when he started using the divine level fist technique again, he unexpectedly discovered that the profound mysteries of the laws that should have been fused into the fist technique were suddenly out of his control. His mind was unable to mobilize and control the profound mysteries of the laws that he had comprehended. After Thaling used the Yuan Slaughter Sword to perform the Step Mark Sword technique, he didn't care about the effect of the sharp sword chi attack. He continued to perform the same sword technique, forming sharp sword chi that slashed towards Bo Qing, Bo Hong, and the others. Similarly, when they were faced with Emperor Wu's sharp sword chi that was only at the peak of the 9th grade, the cautious Bo Qing, Bo Hong, and Lu Zong activated their defenses at the first moment. Hailan, Di Gu, and Luo Qing, on the other hand, completely ignored him. However, regardless of whether they were cautious in their defense or arrogant and ignorant in their indifference, the sharp sword chi formed by Qing Shu's sword still fused into their bodies in the end. After putting away the Yuan Slaughter Sword in his hand, Thaling bent his knees and sat cross-legged in the Xianhuang Qi. Then, his 10 fingers started to quickly form imprints. When the first imprint was fused into the mansion's formation, Stepscar, who was checking why he couldn't control the profound mysteries of the laws, suddenly felt a portion of his divine power and soul energy disappear. However, the amount of divine power and soul energy that disappeared was very small. It was so small that it was only 1/10,000th of the total amount. Thus, Stepscar's attention continued to remain on the profound mysteries of the laws. When the second imprint that Thaling formed fused into the mansion, Bo Qing, who was also checking why he couldn't control the profound mysteries of the laws, also felt a small portion of his divine power and soul energy disappear. Although his cautious personality allowed him to immediately separate a portion of his attention to check, he still placed more of his attention on the profound mysteries of the laws. After all, the profound mysteries of the laws were what truly determined a martial god's strength, not divine power and soul energy. The third imprint, the fourth imprint. When the seventh imprint fused into the mansion, Thaling bent his knees and sat cross-legged in the Xianhuang Qi, temporarily stopping his 10 fingers from forming imprints. Afterwards, he lowered his head and glanced at Yu Haoran, who was still immersed in breaking through to the Pill God realm. A trace of hesitation flashed through his eyes. However, his hesitation didn't last for long. Because he couldn't check his own condition, Scar, who planned to use his divine power and soul energy to forcefully attack the furnace, was quickly replaced by determination. Thaling's 10 fingers continued to form imprints. When the 8th imprint fused into the mansion, Bo Ching, Scar, and the others couldn't help but change their expressions at the same time. This was because they discovered that close to 1/10 of the divine power and soul energy in their bodies had suddenly disappeared. Furthermore, they still couldn't find the reason for the disappearance. Even if divine power and soul energy weren't the key factors that determined a martial god's strength, they were still the foundation of whether one could control and use the profound mysteries of the laws. Therefore, the bewilderment and fear that instantly surged in their hearts made Bo Ching and the others make the same choice, which was to quickly leave the mansion and leave the dangerous environment that brought them. The sudden movement of Bo Ching and the others not only made Sun Yaonong and the tens of thousands of people present feel puzzled, but even Qin Lingfei and the others, who had activated the mansion's defenses with all their strength, also revealed puzzled expressions. This was because they didn't know why Bo Ching and the others, who clearly had the strength of a god, chose to retreat in fear after standing in front of the mansion for a while. Could it be that there was a great danger hidden in the mansion before them? Only Zhongli Shuiqin turned her head to look at the backyard of the mansion, a trace of pondering flashing through her eyes. Break for me. During the process of dividing the pills, the division and distribution of the profound mysteries of the law of barrier breaking allowed Yu Haoran to have a deeper understanding of the profound mysteries of the laws. At the same time, he also finally comprehended the opportunity to break through to the Pill God realm. After more than 10 minutes of preparation, when Bo Ching and the others left the mansion in fear, and when everyone present, including Qin Lingfei and the others, were puzzled, he used the opportunity and meticulous preparation that he had comprehended to break through to the Pill God realm with all his strength. The first attempt failed. The second attempt failed. Before beginning the third attempt, Yu Haoran chose to fight to the bitter end. He fused his own understanding of the Pill Tao, the comprehension of Zhang Yuanzi's cultivation, the gains from the Epiphany, and the feeling of refining pills just now into a brand new energy that began the final attempt to break through the bottleneck of the realm. Boom! Just as the brand new energy crashed heavily against the bottleneck of the realm, a deafening roar suddenly sounded within 1,000,000 miles of the mansion. Accompanied by the deafening roar, a 5-colored auspicious cloud suddenly appeared in the sky above the prince's mansion. Chapter 1818. Outside Fengrun City. This is... Sun Yaonong looked at the 5-colored auspicious cloud that appeared out of nowhere in the void and rushed toward the prince's mansion. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Although he had deduced Yu Haoran's goal by refining the Tier 1, Grade 1 Immortal Ascension pill, he was well aware of how difficult it was to break through to the alchemy deity realm. Thus, he had never thought that Yu Haoran would be able to successfully break through to the alchemy deity realm just by refining the Immortal Ascension pill once. But the truth was, the 5-colored auspicious cloud appears. The realm of alchemy god is formed. Sun Yaonong, who had gradually accepted the reality, exclaimed with envy in his eyes as he watched the 5-colored auspicious cloud rush into the mansion and the 9 elixirs disappear into thin air. The 5-colored auspicious cloud appears. The realm of alchemy god is formed. Zhongli Shuiqin, who was watching the 5-colored auspicious cloud that quickly landed in the backyard of the mansion, stood up abruptly and said loudly to Qin Lingfei and the sword without trace, unable to control her excitement. Sister-in-law Ling Fei, sister-in-law Wuhan, Yu Shixiang has successfully broken through to the realm of alchemy god and become the first realm of alchemy god in the Tianxin continent. His influence is no less than that of a divine spirit expert at the peak of the 9th stage martial god realm. In fact, one could not blame Zhongli Shuiqin for being so excited. The breakthrough of the realm of alchemy god indicated that there was a great chance of successfully refining the first stage, first grade Immortal Ascension elixir. At the same time, It also meant that Yu Haoran had officially become the most influential expert in the Tianxian continent. Yu Haoran, as the realm of alchemy god, had personally come to propose marriage and brought along the immortal ascension elixir and ginseng fruit that could assist in breaking through to the realm of martial god. Those old guys in the family would probably happily agree to the marriage between her and Wu Jingjun. After hearing Zhongli Shuiqin's explanation, Qin Lingfei, the sword without trace, Yun Xiang, and Feng Man's eyes were also filled with uncontrollable surprise, because they knew very well what the realm of alchemy god meant to Yu Haoran and what they would gain from it. The five-colored auspicious cloud appears. The realm of alchemy god is formed. The pagoda spirit, who was sitting cross-legged in the midst of the black and yellow qi, looked at the five-colored auspicious clouds that had fused into Haoran's sea of consciousness. The excitement in his heart caused him to temporarily forget about the seal that was forming. Fortunately, the mental cultivation of a peak's supreme being allowed him to quickly calm down. Then, he continued to condense the imprint that was fused into the formation of the mansion while he secretly planned in his heart. With of alchemy god, Yu Haoran, S of alchemy's alchemy of the second level of alchemy, of alchemy, art of alchemy. God, with the of the spirit, with the of heavens of God's heaven, of Tao heaven of divine of God, of alchemy chi. In God, realm, S, in with realm, God realm, to of the of God. As the multicolored auspicious clouds merged with the spiritual soul in his sea of consciousness, Yu Haoran immediately felt that his understanding of alchemy cultivation had become more thorough. He also felt more confident about how to successfully refine a first-rank immortal ascension pill. However, what really excited him was the special energy contained in the five-colored auspicious cloud. It allowed him to have a deeper understanding of the dual laws of life and death. He vaguely felt like he could control the mysteries. According to Thaling's explanation of the mysteries of the laws and the realm of alchemy, Yu Haoran knew that the moment he completely mastered the mysteries of the dual laws of life and death would be the moment he could truly break through to the realm of alchemy. The five-colored auspicious cloud that merged with the soul did not stay for very long. Just as Yu Haoran began to attempt to control the mysteries of the dual laws of life and death, the five-colored auspicious cloud that had cut off a portion of the soul's aura quickly left the sea of consciousness and returned to the void above the mansion. Then, the five-colored auspicious cloud instantly split into countless smaller five-colored auspicious clouds, which then flew towards every corner of the Tianxian continent. In the temporary encampment of Emperor Qin's army in Pinggu City, Emperor Wu, who had successfully advanced to the realm of Emperor Qin, was handling the urgent military affairs of the army when Jiang Zhongwan's panicked voice suddenly came from outside the study room. "Your Majesty, something big has happened. Please come out and take a look." Frowning slightly, Emperor Qin put down the golden pen in his hand. In a flash, he appeared in the courtyard. Then, following Jiang Zhongwan's reminder, he lifted his head and looked at the void 10,000 meters above Pinggu City. He saw a young man dressed in blue, standing on a five-colored auspicious cloud, with white flames burning in his eyes. "This is the prince consort." Looking at the familiar face, Emperor Qin was slightly shocked and shouted involuntarily. "The five-colored auspicious cloud has appeared. The alchemy god of alchemy has been formed." Yu Luoran, who was in Emperor Qin's sea of consciousness, shouted involuntarily with an equally shocked expression when he saw Yu Haoran standing on the five-colored auspicious cloud. He actually managed to break through the suppression of the auxiliary path and successfully advance to the pill deity stage. Could it be that this young man is the reincarnation of my supreme being? After hearing Yu Luoran's exclamation in Yu Haoran's sea of consciousness, Emperor Qin, who had calmed down quickly, recalled the strange phenomenon when Yu Haoran had advanced to the pill deity stage during the hidden dragon roll contest in the South region. He immediately used the soul power of Emperor Wu's realm and shouted to the army stationed in Pinggu City. The appearance of the five-colored auspicious cloud, the pill deity stage of the pill deity stage. This is the strange phenomenon of the prince consort's successful advancement to the pill deity stage of the pill deity stage. After hearing Emperor Qin point out the origin of the strange phenomenon in Pinggu City, the morale of the army instantly soared by dozens of times. In their hearts, they were even more loyal to Emperor Qin's kingdom. This was especially so for the martial sages and martial honorables who had pledged allegiance to Emperor Qin's kingdom. Their indignant emotions instantly disappeared without a trace. On this joyous occasion, I have decided to reward the army. Jiang Zhongwan, pass the imperial decree. I accept the imperial decree. Jiang Zhongwan took a step forward and said respectfully, "From this day onwards, the army will rest for 7 days. Commanders and above are allowed to." At the Yushu Temple, the 3 palace masters of the Yushu Temple stood side by side. They looked at Yu Haoran, who had ignored the defensive array of the Yushu Temple, and appeared directly in mid-air with the 5-colored auspicious clouds. The 3 of them had different expressions on their faces. The Earth Venerable, the master of the underground palace, looked slightly pale. He looked at Yu Haoran, who was standing on the 5-colored auspicious clouds, with a look of horror in his eyes. The master of the heavenly palace, the Heaven Venerable, looked gloomy. He looked at Yu Haoran, who was standing on the 5-colored auspicious clouds, with a strong, murderous look in his eyes. The master of the human palace, the Heaven Venerable, looked as calm as water. He looked at Yu Haoran, who was standing on the 5-colored auspicious clouds, with a complicated look in his eyes. The 5-colored auspicious clouds have appeared. The pill deity of the pill deity stage has been formed. Retracting his gaze from Yu Haoran and restraining the strong, murderous look in his eyes, the Heaven Venerable, Ji Xing, turned to look at the human venerable and asked, "Junior brother, the impact of Yu Haoran's attainment of the alchemy divinity realm at this moment is probably no less than the sensation caused by me revealing my identity as the Chosen One." Chapter 1819. In the underground palace of the Yushu Temple. After hearing Ji Xing's question, the human sovereign, who had also retracted his gaze from Yu Haoran, looked directly into his eyes with a hint of hesitation. "Junior brother, the 3 sovereigns of heaven, earth, and human are in charge of the Yushu Temple. There is no difference in status or power between them. This is the rule set by our ancestors and also the foundation for the Yushu Temple to be passed down for countless years." Ji Xing, who was familiar with and understood the human sovereign's temperament, promised with a gentle smile on his face when he saw the human sovereign suddenly fall into silence. "Therefore, you can speak freely. You don't have to be afraid, and you don't have to worry about provoking your senior brother's dissatisfaction. Senior brother, actually, the grudge between the Yushu Temple and Yu Haoran is not deep. There is a possibility that we can resolve it." After receiving Ji Xing's guarantee, the hesitation in the human sovereign's eyes was gradually replaced by determination. He mustered up his courage to persuade. "Senior brother, I think that as long as the Yushu Temple takes the initiative to take a step back, I think that with Yu Haoran's breadth of mind and vision, he will eventually choose to forgive us. At the same time, considering senior brother's identity as the son of destiny and the protection of the will of heaven behind us, he might even choose to ally with us." The more he spoke, the more excited he became. He couldn't help but start to look forward. However, he didn't notice that Ji Xing's face was gradually darkening. "If we can really form an alliance, then with the luck of the Son of Destiny, the protection of the will of heaven, and the influence of the Pill God, the Yushu Temple will definitely be able to completely suppress the 4 great guardian families and the 5 great hidden families. It will truly become the first force in the Tianxian continent, and it will also be able to—" "Junior brother, shut up." A violent shout interrupted the human sovereign's vision. Ji Xing's face was ashen as he questioned. "Seeking peace with Yu Haoran and forming an alliance with Yu Haoran. Then, has junior brother ever thought about Long, who died tragically under the sword without trace? Has junior brother ever thought about the elders and deacons who died under you, Howren? Has Junior Brother ever considered the wishes of the three heavens? Faced with Ji Xing's ashen face, the human sovereign did not panic too much. He could not help but sigh softly and remain silent. Junior Brother, I'll say it right here and now. Even if we end up in mutual destruction, our Yushu Temple and you, Howren, will never reconcile, let alone form an alliance. Senior Brother, I understand. After cupping his hands, the human sovereign glanced at you, Howren, who was standing on the five-colored auspicious cloud in midair. Disappointment flashed in his eyes as he stepped out of the underground palace and returned to the human palace. Junior Brother, temporarily take back all the power of the human palace and the human sovereign. Also, send Yi to secretly monitor the human sovereign's every move. Seeing the human sovereign step out, a cold light flashed in Ji Xing's eyes as he instructed the earthly sovereign. Yes, Senior Brother. Seeing the cold light flashing in Ji Xing's eyes, the earthly sovereign shuddered and hurriedly cupped his hands in response. In front of the passageway of the ancient god trial field, looking at the three Array Dao and Array Emperor elders who had just woken up, the 9 Shensi, Shan Jie, who was trying his best to break the seal of the passageway, had a look of anger, regret, hatred, and contemplation flash in his eyes. However, when a five-colored auspicious cloud suddenly appeared in midair above the ancient god trial field, and a young man in blue was standing on it, Shan Jie's complicated expression was quickly replaced by hatred. You, Howren, you deserve to die. In an instant, he took out a god-state upper-grade sword. After a roar, he directly soared into the air and rushed toward you, Howren, who was standing on the five-colored auspicious cloud. However, when he had just soared less than 100 meters into the air, a kind old man in a white robe instantly blocked in front of him and criticized him with a serious expression. Your Highness, Shensi, your mind is in a mess. After hearing the white-robed old man's criticism, Shan Jie forced himself to calm down quickly. Then, he looked up at you, Howren, in midair and gradually realized that you, Howren, was abnormal. The five-colored auspicious cloud appears, and the pill god of alchemy is achieved. Recalling the promotion of the alchemy masters of the god clan in ancient times, Shan Jie's face suddenly changed, and he cried out involuntarily. In today's environment, the boy with the surname, you can achieve the position of pill god. How is this possible? Yes, it is the pill god of alchemy. After nodding and confirming you Howren's true condition, the white-robed old man reminded him with a serious expression. As long as there are sufficient resources, an alchemist in the pill god of alchemy can easily refine elixirs that could directly break through to the martial honor and Emperor Wu's realm. They can also refine elixirs that can assist in breaking through to the martial god realm. This person's threat to our god clan is no less than the child of destiny who can start and end the immeasurable calamity. At this point, the white-robed old man turned his head and instructed Shinjie. Your Highness, Son of God, the moment the god clan returns to the profound sky continent, you must immediately arrange for the devouring demons to kill this person. You must not let him become a threat to the god clan's rule over the profound sky continent. Don't worry, old military advisor. I will never let this boy go. As Shun Jian nodded in agreement to the white-robed old man's instructions, he was even more eager to know when they would be able to break the seal on the passageway and lead the god clan's countless armies back to the Tianxian continent. According to my understanding of formations, the formation that seals the ancient god test grounds is called the Sun-Moon Star Formation. It is one of the three great sealing formations from ancient times. With our formation skills, we will need at least 5 years to break it. After hearing Shanji's question, the white-robed old man gestured for him to follow him to the front of the passageway. He then pointed at the seal that emitted the aura of the Sun-Moon Star Formation and explained. However, I discovered that among the 4 formation flags used to set up the Sun-Moon Star Formation, one of them contains a self-destructing formation. At the same time, judging from the self-destructing formation's operating speed, The formation flag will completely detonate the Sun-Moon-Star formation in 2 months at most. The passageway to the Tianxin continent will then be reopened. That's great. In 2 months at most, he would be able to lead the God Clan's army back to the Tianxin continent. Shun Jie was so excited that he could not help but exclaim. After raising his hand to signal Shun Jie to be quiet, the white-robed old man pointed at Yu Haoran, who was standing on a 5-colored auspicious cloud in mid-air, and said with a smile on his face. However, what I did not expect was that the heaven and earth anomaly caused by this boy's advancement to the alchemy god realm actually sped up the self-destructing formation's operating speed, causing the formation flag to self-destruct to be brought forward by nearly a third. In other words, in 45 days at most, the Sun-Moon-Star formation's sealing formation will completely lose its effect. Then, Your Highness will be able to return to the Tianxin continent. Yu Haoran, it's time for you to die. Chapter 1820. Inside the prince's mansion. The moment the 5-colored auspicious cloud left the sea of consciousness, the 9 pills in the heaven and earth cauldron finished their first nourishment process. Yu Haoran did not dare to delay at all. He immediately used his mind to transfer the 9 pills into the cauldron in front of him. Then, he began the second nourishment process after splitting the pills. However, the nourishment process was different from the first one. The nourishment in the heaven and earth cauldron removed the impurities in the 9 pills after splitting the pills. This allowed the aura of the law of barrier breaking to merge more perfectly with the pills. On the other hand, the nourishment in the cauldron in front of him greatly increased the purity of the energy inside the pills and the thickness of the aura of the law of barrier breaking. This was to prepare him for the third hurdle of the refinement process, which was also the lightning tribulation that would determine the success or failure of the refinement process. As soon as the pills were transferred into the cauldron, the 9 pills emitted a powerful suction force at the same time. However, the suction force formed by the 5 immortal ascension pills that contained the aura of the law of barrier breaking was more than 10 times stronger than the 4 false immortal ascension pills that did not contain the aura of the law of barrier breaking. When the suction force formed by the 9 pills began to guide and devour the spiritual chi of heaven and earth in the surroundings, Yu Haoran realized that he had overlooked an important issue. That was the place where he refined the immortal ascension pills. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth that the 9 pills first absorbed and devoured was the heaven and earth chi that he and Thaling had painstakingly accumulated. The heaven and earth chi was the key for him and his close friends to break through to the martial god realm. It was also the source of energy for the defensive and offensive formations of the mansion. He would feel extremely pained if he wasted even a little bit of it. Therefore, when he saw the heaven and earth chi surging wildly into the cauldron, he loudly ordered Thaling to use the formation to seal the heaven and earth chi while he used the pill condensation technique to move the cauldron. Fortunately, Thaling had finished condensing the imprint. Taking advantage of the fact that he was the one who had set up the formation, he immediately seized control of the formation from Qin Lingfei and began to seal the heaven and earth chi in the mansion with all his might. When Yu Haoran successfully moved the cauldron to the void outside the mansion, he found that the Xianhuang chi in the mansion had not been lost too much. He could not help but let out a sigh of relief. However, he was shocked when he saw nearly 100,000 experts and powerhouses floating in the air 1,000 meters away from the mansion. When he saw the 7 martial gods 10,000 meters away, continuously taking pills to recover their divine power and God's soul, a puzzled expression appeared in his eyes. Yu Haoran, the 7 of us are still the messengers of the will of the heavens and the child of destiny. Seeing Yu Haoran appear outside the mansion, Ta Hin, whose aura had already fallen to that of an early grade, 2 Emperor Wu, immediately threatened Yu Haoran. If you don't want to provoke the heavenly will's lightning tribulation, and if you don't want to incur the wrath of destiny's child, you should immediately withdraw the secret technique you used on us. The second nourishment process of the pills was the process of the 9 pills absorbing and swallowing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth on their own. It did not require Yu Haoran's attention at all times. Therefore, after hearing Ta Hen's threat, Yu Haoran's eyes flashed with a cold light as he retorted, "Ever since I, Yu Haoran, made my debut, I have experienced more than 10 lightning tribulations of various sizes. Not only did I not die under the bombardment of the lightning tribulations, but I also used the power of the lightning tribulations to achieve rapid progress in my cultivation and strength. If you have the ability, you should inform the will of the heavens and Ji Xing now, and let them send down a lightning tribulation that is not inferior to the soul-severing divine thunder. I can use this opportunity to break through to the martial god realm." Faced with Yu Haoran's arrogant retort, Ta Hen suddenly did not know how to refute. On the surface, they were the messengers of the will of the heavens, but in reality, they were just 7 watchdogs that could be summoned and sent away at any time. Not to mention that Ta Hen did not have the ability to summon the will of the heavens to help. Even if he had the ability, he would not dare to do so. After all, they knew the true origin of the will of the heavens, and they were very clear about the punishment that they would receive if they failed the mission. If they wanted to suffer a punishment that was worse than death, they would rather die in battle. "Fouling, what is going on?" As he had been immersed in refining pills and breaking through to the pill god realm, Yu Haoran did not know what had happened outside the mansion. Therefore, after successfully countering Ta Hen speechless, he could not help but ask. "It's like this." After Fouling explained the background of Bo Qing and the others, as well as the purpose of their appearance outside the mansion in detail, he suddenly apologized with a solemn expression. "Yu Haoran, I am sorry." "Fouling, why are you apologizing for no reason?" Yu Haoran asked in confusion. "Just now, I used the Yuan Massacre Sword's ability to cut through the divine soul, and then combined with the secret technique that I used, I was depriving Bo Qing and the others of their divine power and soul power." Fouling replied truthfully as he observed the changes in Yu Haoran's expression. "Purpose? Where did the divine power and soul power that were deprived go?" Yu Haoran continued to ask with a slight frown. "The divine power and soul power that were deprived have already been integrated into the mansion's formation. My purpose is exactly the same as Zenyuanzi's. I want to sacrifice and refine the entire prince's mansion into a divine-level magic weapon, or even a supreme magic weapon." Seeing Yu Haoran frown slightly, Fouling immediately felt very nervous and carefully replied, "Although the structure and formation of the entire prince's mansion had been created by him, in the end, the prince's mansion belonged to Yu Haoran alone. It was somewhat unreasonable for him to arbitrarily sacrifice and refine it into a magic weapon." Fouling, thank you. When he heard that Fouling had deprived Bo Qing and the other divine masters of their divine power and soul power in order to turn the prince's mansion into an existence similar to Zenyuanzi's tomb, Yu Haoran instantly felt a warm current in his heart as he sincerely thanked Fouling. "Yu Haoran, there's no need to thank me, as long as you don't blame me for making the decision without permission." Seeing that Yu Haoran was not angry, Fouling secretly heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly waved his hand with a smile. "Fouling, with the reverse nurturing of the pill god realm in the pill Dao, my formula Dao cultivation has also greatly improved. Furthermore, from Fushi's 8 trigrams diagram, I have comprehended a secret technique that can use images to deduce the location of the main body." Since Fouling was wholeheartedly thinking for him, Yu Haoran also had the obligation to take the initiative to help him achieve his wish. Therefore, Yu Haoran revealed the good news that he had originally planned to tell Fouling in advance. "After the refining of the Immortal Ascension Pill is completed, I will use the form of the Rui Bell to deduce the whereabouts of the 35 Chaos Marks." Really? Fouling, who had originally wanted to use the Elixir Spirit to restore his supreme state, and then use the supreme secret technique to track down the Chaos Marks, could not suppress the ecstasy in his heart when he heard the news revealed by Yu Haoran. "Really?" As he nodded to confirm, Yu Haoran further assured him. Chapter 1821. Outside the prince's mansion. Where is it? Having already deduced the location of one of the chaotic imprints, the good news that Yuhauran had just revealed caused Thaling's soul to tremble uncontrollably. In the primordial forest, Yuhauran replied. After receiving Yuhauran's answer, Thaling pondered for close to 2 minutes before taking a deep breath and exhorting him. Yuhauran, focus on refining the immortal ascension pill. I will try my best to use the divine power and soul energy of Bo Qing and the others, as well as the profound mysteries of the laws that they have mastered, to create the most solid foundation for the prince's mansion to advance into a divine artifact and a supreme artifact. Thank you for your hard work. After nodding in response to Thaling, Yuhauran observed the 9 pills that were madly absorbing and devouring the spiritual chi of heaven and earth while familiarizing himself with and consolidating his breakthrough into the pill god realm. Big brother, I can't hold on any longer. As the pills and spiritual stones in his storage were completely depleted, Lu Shui, who had the lowest cultivation and strength, anxiously shouted at Bo Qing as he faced the threat of falling to the martial god realm. Bo Qing, who also did not have many pills and spiritual stones, hesitated in the face of Lu Shui's request for help. However, the danger of his chi realm falling and the threat of death looming over him caused Bo Qing's selfishness to gain the upper hand. The hesitation in his eyes was quickly replaced by indifference, and in the end, he chose to ignore the request for help. After Lu Shui's pleading expression was quickly replaced by disappointment, he looked at his 5 sworn brothers and sisters who also did not intend to lend a helping hand. Endless regret immediately surged in his heart. He regretted listening to Bo Qing and the other suggestion and choosing to rely on the will of the heavens and the child of destiny, who did not value them at all. In the end, he had brought a fatal disaster upon himself. When he felt that his cultivation had completely fallen to Emperor Wu's level 9 peak, his regret was gradually replaced by hatred. He quickly took out a blank jade slip from his storage ring and recorded some important information with his divine thought. Then, he directly sent the jade slip to Yuhauran with his Yuanli. Pill God you, this jade slip has detailed records of the origin of heaven's will, some of its weaknesses, and some of the secrets of destiny's child. Ji Xing, consider it a little compensation for offending you. Leave a trace, what are you doing? Hearing that Trax had actually dared to expose the origin and weakness of heaven's will, exposing the secrets of destiny's child, Stepscar immediately reprimanded him with a stern expression. Trample, it's none of your business what I want to do now. Can you do anything about it? Lu Zong, who had abruptly turned around in the face of Ta Hen's sharp question, retorted with a cold expression. You. Although he still had some pills and spirit stones left in his possession, which allowed him to stand up and teach Trax a lesson, the speed at which his divine force and soul power were being drained from his body was becoming faster and faster, causing his cultivation to fall to the early level 1 martial god realm. At this moment, Stepscar only wanted to preserve his martial god realm cultivation and delay for as long as possible until the situation turned for the better. Therefore, when faced with Trax's impudent rebuttal, he was so angry that he was speechless. He reached out and took the jade slip that Trax had sent him. His divine sense entered the jade slip space. In just 3 seconds, Yuhauran's divine sense quickly withdrew from the jade slip, and a look of pleasant surprise appeared in his eyes. This was because the information that Trax had left in the jade slip provided unimaginable help in helping the Void Spirit Mouse break through to the Emperor Realm and the God Realm, as well as how to better encircle heaven's will in the Yushu Temple. As he was wild with joy, he couldn't help but discuss with Thaling in his divine sense. Thaling, can you spare Trax's life? Of course. Thaling nodded in response. Then let him leave unscathed. After instructing Thaling, Yuhauran nodded at Trax with a gentle expression. Then, he continued to familiarize himself with and consolidate his pill god realm. Initially, Yuhauran did not understand why Yuhauran nodded gently. However, when he sensed that his Yuan Qi and soul power were no longer disappearing into thin air, and that he was able to recover his cultivation as an early 4th-grade martial god by absorbing the rich heaven and earth spirit chi in the surroundings. He immediately understood what Yuhaoran meant. He'll guide you when you deal with the Yushu Temple in the future. If you need help, just crush this jade slip. Trax will definitely come to your aid as soon as he can. Trax was ecstatic that his vengeful method of revenge had actually given him a chance to live. He felt as if he had been given a new lease on life. Under the influence of his ecstasy, his heart was filled with boundless gratitude towards Yuhaoran. He also took advantage of the situation to make his own promise. Senior Trax, thank you very much. Trax's promise to help deal with the Yushu Temple was an unexpected gain for Yuhaoran. At the same time, he hurriedly cupped his fists and thanked Trax. He'll guide you. We'll meet again. After cupping his fists in response, Trax directly tore open the void in front of him. He didn't even look at Bo Qing and the others as he left the scene through the void. Bo Qing and the other five's eyes flashed with a hint of interest when they saw the way they left behind their tracks and their gains. Luo Qing, who was also about to fall into the martial god realm, hurriedly took out a blank jade slip. She recorded the secrets of the heaven's consciousness and destiny's child in the jade slip. Then, she wrapped the jade slip in her divine power and sent it to Yuhaoran. Yuhaoran took the jade slip and glanced at it. His expression didn't change at all. As he crushed the jade slip in his hand, he gestured for Thowling to speed up the absorption of Luo Qing's divine power and soul power. In just 3 seconds, Luo Qing's cultivation had fallen to the peak of Emperor Wu's 9th stage. After another 3 seconds, all of Luo Qing's white hair fell off. Her frail body quickly shriveled up. Everyone watched in horror as she turned into a pile of white powder. Then, she floated down to Feng Run City. Leave Trace's forgiveness and Luo Qing's death made Bo Qing and the others immediately realize that what Yuhaoran needed was the secret of heaven's will and destiny's child, which even Leave Trace didn't know about. This made them quickly rack their brains to think about the secrets of heaven's will and destiny's child. He'll guide you. Di Gu was the first to think of some of the weaknesses of the heaven's consciousness. He hurriedly recorded the weaknesses in the jade slip. Then, he wrapped it in his divine power and sent it to Yuhaoran. After reading the information in the jade slip with his mind, Yuhaoran's eyes showed a hint of excitement, but it was quickly replaced by calmness. Then he directly crushed the jade slip in his hand and continued to pay attention to the 9 medicinal pills in the pill furnace. Yuhaoran's action of crushing the jade slip caused Di Gu to immediately sink into the fear of death. However, after waiting for almost a minute, the punishment he imagined didn't appear. He didn't turn into a pile of white powder in just 6 seconds like Luo Qing. However, the divine power and soul power in his body continued to be absorbed. This made Di Gu realize that although the secrets he had just provided had a certain value, it wasn't enough to satisfy Huyu Hao. Chapter 1822. Outside the prince's mansion. In the following period of time, Yuhaoran used this method of loosening the reins only to grasp them better. While he fully understood the secrets of heaven's will and destiny's child, he did not let go of Bo Qing and the other 5 people who dared to besiege the prince's mansion. With the help of Thowling's secret method, their thousands of years of hard work finally became the energy for the mansion to become a celestial device in the future. Temporarily putting aside the secrets of heaven's will and destiny's child, Yuhaoran began to stare at the 9 elixirs in the furnace, which were about to finish the second nourishment process. This is just as the 9 elixirs in the furnace stopped absorbing and swallowing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, a large number of black clouds suddenly began to gather above Feng Run City. This made the more than 100,000 masters and experts present change their expressions involuntarily. Elixir Tribulation, the last hurdle of whether the immortal ascension elixir can be formed. Looking up at the black clouds gathering, Sun Yaonong reminded with an expectant look in his eyes. It's a bit weak. Looking at the speed and thickness of the black clouds gathering, as well as the area affected, Yu Haoran could not help but feel a little disappointed. It was far from being comparable to the thunder tribulation formed by the soul-severing divine thunder. Yu Haoran, it is precisely because the power of the elixir tribulation is weak that the 5 immortal ascension elixirs, which contain the profound aura of the law, have the hope of successfully passing the tribulation. Hearing that Yu Haoran was not satisfied with the power of the thunder tribulation, Thaling felt rather speechless and reminded him, if the power of the elixir tribulation is the same as that of the soul-severing divine thunder, even if you can offset 90% of the power of the thunder tribulation, the remaining 10% is not something that the immortal ascension elixirs can withstand. Hearing the Tower Spirit's reminder, Yu Haoran couldn't help but chuckle. He knew that after experiencing the apocalyptic lightning tribulation and the soul-severing divine lightning tribulation recently, he had set his sights too high. He wasn't very realistic when he thought about things. Looking at the lightning energy that was beginning to form the elixir tribulation in the black clouds above his head, Yu Haoran shouted softly and directly hit the furnace with his left hand at the same time. Elixirs rise. With the shout and the sound of hitting, the 9 elixirs quickly flew out of the furnace and quietly floated in the air. Boom! Within the black clouds that had accumulated enough lightning energy, 9 purple lightning bolts that were as thick as fingers shot out, accompanied by a deafening roar. After quickly dispersing the pill cauldron and the heaven and earth furnace, Yu Haoran immediately soared into the sky and arrived above the 9 pills. Relying on the ancestral Magus's fleshly body and the defense of the Rui Bell, he blocked the 9 purple thunderbolts formed by the pill tribulation. Blocking was one thing, but Yu Haoran did not use any martial skill to destroy the 9 purple lightning bolts. After all, the 5 pills that contained the aura of the profound mysteries of the laws still needed to be struck by the purple lightning to complete the final fusion process. Therefore, after secretly activating the complete version of the Great Devouring Technique, Yu Haoran began to forcibly intercept 70% of the energy in each purple lightning bolt, using the 9 pills to deal with the remaining 30% of the purple lightning bolt. In the end, both the 5 immortal ascension pills and the 4 false immortal pills successfully withstood the first wave of tribulation lightning. This is using the Great Devouring Technique to convert the energy of the 9 purple lightning bolts, and then using his self-created heavenly mandate mental cultivation method to absorb it. Yu Haoran was pleasantly surprised to find that the converted purple lightning energy actually contained a trace of special energy that could increase his control over the profound mysteries of the laws. Just the purple lightning energy converted from the first tribulation lightning had already increased his control over the profound mysteries of the laws of life and death by nearly 30%. If not for the fact that the final success or failure of the Immortal Ascension Pill was related to his battle for fortune and reputation with the will of the heavens and Ji Xing, whether the profound sky continent could continue to maintain peace for a short period of time, and the marriage between Wu Jingjun and Zhongli Shuiqin, Yu Haoran would have wanted to devour all of the purple lightning bolts formed by the tribulation lightning. Therefore, when the 9 purple lightning bolts formed by the second tribulation lightning charged down, he still only retained 70% of the energy. When the 9 purple lightning bolts formed by the third tribulation lightning, he also only retained 70% of the energy. After the third tribulation lightning, the tribulation lightning caused by the Immortal Ascension Pill could be considered to have officially ended. Yu Haoran quickly returned to the spot where he had been refining the pill. He immediately sat down with his legs crossed and used the Great Devouring Technique to convert the purple lightning energy to increase his control over the profound mysteries of the laws of life and death. The tribulation lightning has passed. The Immortal Ascension Pill is done. Looking at the 9 Immortal Ascension Pills that were merging with the purple lightning, Sun Yaonong clenched his fists tightly and muttered to himself with an excited expression. Many of the Emperor Wu and demigod experts present heard Sun Yaonong's mutterings and immediately checked the treasures they had stored up, making sufficient preparations for the upcoming transaction. It's done. Yu Shixiang has really refined the first-tier, first-grade Immortal Ascension pill. When Yu Haoran had successfully advanced to the level of pill god, Zhongli Shuiqin had already felt that the Immortal Ascension pill would definitely be refined successfully in the end. However, a feeling was only a feeling. Before the 9 pills had truly triggered and passed through the tribulation, no one knew whether any accidents would occur during this period of time. At this moment, as she looked at the 9 pills floating in the air, especially the 5 Longan-sized pills that were sparkling and translucent and contained the aura of the profound mysteries of the laws, she knew that her marriage with Wu Zhenjun was one step closer to success. In less than 5 minutes, the energy of the 27 purple lightning bolts converted by the Great Devouring Technique had been completely consumed. Although he had not completely grasped the mysteries of the laws of life and death in the end, Yu Haoran was confident that he could completely grasp the mysteries of the laws of life and death in the next 1 to 2 months with his own comprehension and cultivation. Moreover, he would possess the strength to directly break through to the level of martial god. Moreover, the 27 purple lightning bolts were only a portion of the tribulation lightning. What if the reward of the tribulation lightning that followed also had the effect of increasing his control over the mysteries of the laws? In that case, he would not need to cultivate in seclusion to grasp the mysteries of the laws of life and death. Therefore, after calming down his excitement, Yu Haoran raised his head to look at the black clouds that were nurturing the reward of the tribulation lightning. His eyes revealed an expression of anticipation. The anticipation did not last very long. 10 strands of milky white energy of varying thicknesses quickly washed down from the black clouds. Perhaps it was because he was the alchemist refining the Immortal Ascension pill, or perhaps it was because he had endured most of the lightning strikes, but the thickest strand of milky white energy directly enveloped him after passing through the 9 pills. Sigh. After absorbing the milky white energy through his mental cultivation method, Yu Haoran discovered that the reward of the tribulation lightning was mainly focused on the mind and body. When he discovered that it was not what he had expected, he could not help but sigh. However, when he discovered that his cultivation of the mind and body had increased with the help of the milky white energy, he quickly felt the bottleneck of his realm. His disappointment was quickly replaced by excitement. Chapter 1823. Outside the prince's mansion, Sun Yaonong looked at Yu Haoran, who was receiving the reward from the pill tribulation, with an excited expression on his face. Sun Yaonong's eyes revealed a hint of envy as he sighed. Pills, pill tribulation rewards. This is the real reason why top alchemists can improve their cultivation by leaps and bounds. However, when he thought about how his talent and comprehension in alchemy were not inferior to Yu Haoran's, and how he had lost the foundation to break through to the pill emperor and pill deity realms due to his youthful and ignorant arrogance, he was filled with endless regret. Fortunately, some time ago, he had obtained a pill formula that could rebuild the foundation of alchemy from a relic left behind from the Middle Ages. His regret was quickly replaced by excitement. However, when he thought about how the pill formula recorded was as high as level 1, level 3, in the entire Tianxian continent, only Yu Haoran, who had just advanced to the pill deity realm, could refine it. His excitement quickly calmed down. Then, Sun Yaonong began to think about how to get Yu Haoran to agree to refine the level 1, level 3 divine pill, so that he could regain the hope of breaking through to the pill emperor and pill deity realms. If the difficulty of breaking through to the Emperor Wu realm from the martial honorable realm was 10 times, then the difficulty of breaking through to the Emperor Wu realm from the Emperor Wu realm directly rose to 100 times. Not to mention, the difficulty of assisting in breaking through to the martial god realm was not inferior to breaking through to the martial god realm at all. With the help of the large amount of milky white energy rewarded by the pill tribulation, he had clearly touched the bottleneck of breaking through to the next realm. However, the bottleneck of his mental state cultivation and physical body grade were like two mountains. No matter how he tried to break through, he still did not move at all, feeling that the milky white energy washing over him was decreasing. The hope of breaking through to the next realm was also decreasing. In the end, Yuharan gave up on the extravagant hope of breaking through in a short period of time. Then, he used the little remaining reward from the pill tribulation to begin consolidating his newly improved cultivation and strength. When the reward from the pill tribulation completely disappeared, Yuharan, who had stopped cultivating, quickly took out 2 pill bottles and waved at the 9 pills floating in midair. Then, 5 first-stage, first-rank Immortal Ascension pills fell into 1 pill bottle, and 4 first-stage, first-rank False Immortal pills fell into another pill bottle. Yuharan poured out an Immortal Ascension pill from the pill bottle. After inspecting it carefully, he discovered that the quality of the Immortal Ascension pill was similar to what he had expected. It had a 30% chance of helping him break through to the martial god realm. He put the Immortal Ascension pill back into the pill bottle, then poured out a false immortal pill from another pill bottle. He also carefully examined it, and then a look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face. Although the pseudo-immortal pill lacked the aura of the profound laws, causing it to lose its heaven-defying effect of assisting in breaking through to the martial god realm, the pseudo-immortal pill's effect of assisting in increasing the grade of the physical body, origin energy, and soul power far surpassed that of the Immortal Ascension pill. In other words, 4 rank 1 false immortal pills were perfect for him to break through the bottleneck of the martial god realm. Of course, it was only suitable. Yuharan, who paid attention to improving his foundation, would not consider using the pseudo-immortal pills to assist in breaking through to the martial god realm for the time being. After happily putting away the pseudo-immortal pills, Yuharan walked toward the prince's mansion with a happy smile on his face. When he was about to part with Qin Ling Fei and the others, he suddenly heard a voice urging him to stay. "Elixir God, you please wait." Yuharan turned his head to look at the silver-haired old man in a gray robe, who had a gentle expression and a benevolent face and carried a medicine basket on his back. His eyes immediately revealed a look of pleasant surprise. Then, in a flash, he appeared in front of Sun Yaonong and respectfully cupped his fists. Junior Yuharan greets Senior Sun. In his previous life, when his alchemy cultivation was stuck at the peak of the Grandmaster realm, in order to find an opportunity to break through, he and the empty spirit mouse had ventured into a dangerous place at the border of the eastern region and accidentally encountered Sun Yaonong. At that time, Sun Yaonong did not hate him because of his identity as a poison grandmaster, nor did he look down on him because of his identity as a rogue cultivator. At the same time, facing the fatal threat of the dangerous place, Sun Yaonong not only overdrew his own yuan qi and soul power to forcibly open a safe passage to the dangerous place to help him leave, but also personally guided him in his alchemy cultivation afterward. If he had not been chased by the enemies of the Yushu Temple and was forced to escape into the demon god's ancient tomb, he would have had a great chance of advancing to the Grandmaster realm. Therefore, Sun Yaonong was not only the benefactor of his alchemy cultivation, but also the person he wanted to repay after his rebirth. An alchemist in the alchemy god realm had a status comparable to a half-step supreme martial artist. Whether it was now or in the ancient and Middle Ages, they were the top and most respected existences in the world. Not only was Yuharan, who possessed such a noble status, respectful and reverent attitude when facing an old man like Sun Yaonong who no longer had any future, but he even bowed with the status of a junior. This moved Sun Yaonong deeply, but at the same time, he also felt a deep sense of self-blame and shame. He had the opportunity to meet Yuharan 3 times, but because of his selfishness and jealousy, not only did he not guide him in his alchemy cultivation, but he also actively avoided the possibility of meeting him. How could this not make him feel ashamed and self-blame? Alchemy God you is too polite. It should be Yaonong bowing to you. After taking a deep breath and adjusting his complicated emotions, Sun Yaonong hurriedly bowed back politely. Senior, please don't kill me. How can I let you bow to me? After hurriedly shaking his head to stop Sun Yaonong from bowing, Yu Haoran took the initiative to invite him to the prince's mansion as a guest. It was said that Yu Haoran personally built the prince's mansion. Not only was the scenery like a paradise on earth, but there was also a special kind of spiritual energy in the mansion that could strengthen the foundation and potential of a martial artist and also greatly increase the cultivation and strength of a martial artist. Therefore, in the face of Yu Haoran's invitation, Sun Yaonong hurriedly nodded in agreement. Alchemy God Yu, senior son, please wait. Just as Yu Haoran brought Sun Yaonong to the prince's mansion, a third tribulation demigod expert rushed out from the crowd while urging them to stay. Alchemy God Yu, his name is Zheng Jiyuan, and he comes from the Zheng clan, which has a legacy from the Middle Ages. Seeing a trace of doubt in Yu Haoran's eyes, Sun Yaonong knew that he did not know the other party's background, so he took the initiative to introduce him. The Zheng clan is a powerful legacy family that is on par with the Shang clan and the Zhou clan. Senior Zheng, what can I do for you? After cupping his hands and greeting, Yu Haoran asked calmly, Alchemy God Yu, I wonder if you're interested in selling the level 1 Immortal Ascension pill that you have just refined? Zheng Jiyuan stopped 3 meters away from Yu Haoran and asked respectfully, with a longing look in his eyes. In the face of Zheng Jiyuan's interrogation, Yu Haoran lowered his head and pondered. Chapter 1824. Outside the prince's mansion, Yu Haoran immediately thought of the use of the 2 Immortal Ascension pills when he recalled that Emperor Qin had chosen to cooperate with the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion Chamber of Commerce because of Yu Luoran, the supreme demon cultivator. This had caused Bian Xingrue to lose the opportunity to establish a foothold in the southern region. Senior Zheng, 1 month from today, I will be holding a grand auction in Feng Run City. The auction will not only include Rank 1 Immortal Ascension pills, but also Rank 1 pseudo-immortal pills that can help Emperor Wu break through to the martial god realm when he's at the peak of Rank 9 and a demigod. There will even be the legendary ginseng fruit that can help one become a god in the neutral lands. Pill God Yu, are you sure? Immortal Ascension pills, pseudo-immortal pills, and ginseng fruit. When he heard that Yu Haoran would be holding an auction, Zheng Jiyuan asked in a trembling voice because he was too excited. Senior Zheng, ever since Yu Haoran, officially made my debut, I've always been a man of my word. You can attend the auction in Feng Run City a month from now without any worries, Yu Haoran promised with a smile. Since that's the case, I'll take my leave first. Both the Immortal Ascension pills and the ginseng fruit were top-notch treasures that could be used to help one break through to the martial god realm. The people who would participate in the auction would either be from top-notch families with inheritances like the Guardians and Hermit families, or old monsters hidden in secret realms and the void. If he wanted to stand out from these strong competitors, he would need to be fully prepared in advance. Therefore, Zheng Jiyuan didn't waste any more time and immediately cupped his fists to bid farewell. I won't see you out. After cupping his fists in response to Zheng Jiyuan's farewell, Yu Haoran ignored the crowd, whose eyes were filled with anticipation and desire. He directly brought Sun Yaonong back to the pavilion in the backyard of the mansion. Senior son, this is my gift to you. Yu Haoran took out an Immortal Ascension pill and placed it in an independent pill bottle. He then placed the pill bottle on the stone table in front of Sun Yaonong and gestured with a smile. Elixir God Yu, this Immortal Ascension pill is too precious. I cannot accept it. Yu Haoran had given him such a precious gift when they hadn't even spoken a word. This caused Sun Yaonong to feel deeply terrified, and he quickly stood up to refuse. Senior son, apart from being proficient in alchemy and array Dao, this junior also knows a little about Formula Dao. Yu Haoran understood Sun Yaonong's intention of postponing, so he didn't mind at all. He gestured for Sun Yaonong to sit back on the stone chair, and explained with a smile. Facing Sun Yaonong's explanation, the cautious Yu Haoran didn't immediately put away the jade box. Instead, he planned to first understand what the other party wanted him to do. Pill God Yu. This jade slip records a peculiar pill recipe. Please take a look first. Sun Yaonong took out a simple and unadorned jade slip from an independent space and handed it to Yu Haoran. His eyes were full of expectation as he indicated. This is a rank 1. Rank 3 spirit molding replenishing pill created by Laozi Supreme in the Middle Ages. His mind entered the jade slip. A familiar pill recipe immediately reminded Yu Haoran of the pill recipe's grade and origin. A pill recipe created by Laozi Supreme. Hearing Yu Haoran point out that the pill recipe he had accidentally obtained was actually created by the number 1 pill master of the Middle Ages, Laozi Supreme, Sun Yaonong immediately became nervous. After all, Laozi Supreme's achievements in Pill Dao could be said to be the best in ancient, Middle Ages, and recent ages. Therefore, a pill recipe created by him would probably surpass a pill recipe of the same level, whether in terms of refining technique or difficulty. Pill God Yu, can you refine the spirit molding replenishing pill? Sun Yaonong asked nervously. I can, but the success rate is at most 40%. In a hidden scriptures pavilion in Jinyuan's tomb, he had once seen in a jade slip that Zhen Yuanzi had specially researched and analyzed the 9 special pills created by Laozi Supreme. He had studied the principle of the hundreds of medicinal herbs in the pill recipe and analyzed the things that needed attention during the refining process. Among the 9 special pills, there is the 9 transformation golden pill that Laozi Supreme had made famous, as well as the spirit molding replenishing pill recorded in the jade slip that Sun Yaonong had obtained. At the same time, Laozi Supreme's original creation, the nothingness pill condensation technique, had a 10 to 20% increase in refining the pills he had created. Chapter 1825. Inside the Prince's Mansion. Then I'll have to trouble Pill God Yu to personally refine the first stage, 3rd grade spirit, sculpting replenishing pill. The higher the grade of the pill, the lower the success rate of refining it. For example, the first stage, 3rd grade spirit sculpting replenishing pill created by Laozi, as long as there was a 5% chance of success, it was worth taking the risk, not to mention a 40% chance. Moreover, he had already prepared 5 of the 108 herbs needed to refine the spirit sculpting replenishing pill in advance. It was completely enough to satisfy Yu Haoran's risk. Therefore, Sun Yaonong directly took out 2 storage rings containing the herbs needed to refine the spirit sculpting replenishing pill and handed them to Yu Haoran. He sincerely requested, "Senior son, please stay in the mansion for a few days. After this junior has completely adapted to the power of the pill god realm, I will refine the spirit sculpting replenishing pill for you." Yu Haoran extended his hand to receive the storage ring that Sun Yaonong handed over, and also conveniently put away the jade box that contained the heaven-earth profound yellow exquisite ginseng on the stone table. He nodded his head and agreed to help Sun Yaonong refine the first stage 3rd grade spirit sculpting replenishing pill. Then he used his spiritual sense to inform Qin Lingfei, who was still in the front yard, to arrange a courtyard for Sun Yaonong to rest in. Yu Haoran excused himself and went straight to the cultivation room in the courtyard. Inside the cultivation room, Yu Haoran, now that your alchemy cultivation has broken through the pill god realm, and the nihility pill condensation technique has successfully advanced to the 2nd level, do you also have the ability to refine the 9 transformation golden pill that Laozi is famous for? The Middle Ages was the most active period of Thaling. Whether it was the reclusive Tontian Supreme, the elusive Wangu Chongqing Supreme, or the nice old Laozi Supreme, they all had a very good relationship. Therefore, he was very clear that the spirit sculpting replenishing pill and the 9 transformation golden pill were 2 kinds of pills created by Laozi when he was in the pill god realm. Since Yu Haoran had a 40% chance of refining the spirit sculpting replenishing pill, Then, could he refine the 9 transformation golden pill that was far more effective than the immortal ascension pill and the ginseng fruit? No. While reading the cultivation insights about the pill god realm left by Zenyuanzi, Yu Haoran shook his head and explained. Although the spirit sculpting source replenishing pill and the 9 revolutions golden pill were created by Laozi at the same time, the improvements made to these 2 pills in the later stages have determined that not only is there a huge gap in their auxiliary effects, but also in the degree of difficulty in refining. There's a world of difference. Explaining to this point, Yu pill god realm, Yu Haoran pill to the pill to god realm. Pagoda spirit, if you want to successfully refine the 9 transformations golden pill, not only do you need to advance your pill condensation technique to the 3rd level, but you also need to break through to the supremacy level in your pill Dao. Regardless of whether it was the 3rd level of the void pill condensation technique or the alchemy supremacy realm, Yu Haoran could not achieve them in a short time. This made Thaling, who originally wanted to use the unique medicinal power of the 9 transformation golden pill and then cooperate with the secret method he created to help Yu Haoran reach the pill god realm as soon as possible, suddenly feel very regretful and sighed. Ignoring Thaling's regretful sigh, Yu Haoran continued to immerse himself in the cultivation insights of the pill god realm, striving to be able to refine the spirit sculpting replenishing pill for Sun Yaonong as soon as possible, as well as the soul accumulating pill for Qingfeng. Standing in the void 10,000 meters above Qingyun Peak, Yu Haoran's divine sense quickly swept across Qingfeng Peak and the entire 100 Qi Gate. His eyes revealed a complicated and regretful look. When he took the initiative to invite eldest senior brother Chu Zhongyu and the others to attend his wedding with Qin Lingfei, he thought that he had put down the knot in his heart and could calmly face and take care of the disciples of Qingfeng Peak. But when he really returned to the sect at this moment and saw his eldest senior brother, who was still struggling to comprehend the power of law, his second senior brother, who had obtained an opportunity, was still at the peak of the 9th grade martial king realm, and Dongfang Yuding, who had a top physique, barely reached the martial sage realm and began to relax her cultivation. Yu Haoran knew that he had not really untied the knot in his heart. Otherwise, for nearly 2 years, not only did he not return to the sect, but he also never thought of helping his senior brothers and junior brothers in their cultivation. Thinking back to when they were faced with the hell created by the slaughter spirit pill, it was normal for Chu Zhongyu and the others, who didn't have much experience, to escape instinctively. It had nothing to do with the deep feelings between the brothers. Yu Haoran knew that he was the main reason for the knot in their hearts. Since he had found the root of the knot in his heart, then with his current state of mind that was infinitely close to the divine spirit realm, he only needed to recall the warmth of his previous life and get rid of the remaining trace of resentment in his heart to resolve the knot in his heart. The moment the knot in his heart was completely untied, the self-blame that had completely taken the upper hand immediately made Yu Haoran want to make up for it. In a flash, he appeared in the 9th courtyard of Qingyun Peak and sat on a stone chair in the wind pavilion. Then, he used his divine sense to inform Chu Zhongyu and the others who remained on the peak. 9th junior brother. The moment he received Yu Haoran's divine sense, Chu Zhongyu, who was sitting cross-legged in the cultivation room, could not help but be stunned. This was because he did not believe that Yu Haoran, who had completely cut off all ties with Qingfeng Peak, would actually return to Qingfeng Peak. However, when he used his divine sense to scan the 9th courtyard, when he saw Yu Haoran sitting on a stone chair in the wind pavilion, his heart instantly surged with excitement and longing. His eyes were moist as he rushed out of the cultivation room and headed straight for the 9th courtyard. When he arrived at the gate of the 9th courtyard, he met Lu Guangwei, Dong Mingyu, Cheng Yun, Huang Zonghua, Pan Yuhai, Xiaonan, and the Dongfang siblings who had also rushed over. As for Lin Xian, he had always remained in the army of Emperor Qin's kingdom. Now, not only had Lin Xian's cultivation reached the peak of the 7th grade martial saint realm, he was also a great general who commanded 100,000 elite soldiers. He was one of Emperor Qin's more trusted aides. Eldest senior brother. I'm not dreaming, right? Seeing Chu Zhongyu, who had also arrived at the gate, Huang Baohua, who had the best relationship with Yu Haoran, also asked with moist eyes. As for the other senior brothers, their gazes all turned towards Chu Zhongyu. Senior brothers, junior brother Yiming, junior sister Yuding, Yu Haoran, have returned. Even if he did not deliberately pay attention to the situation around him, with the strength of a divine soul, he could hear any movement within 100 miles. Seeing Huang Baohua, who had clearly received his divine sense and had already arrived at the gate of the courtyard, but still did not dare to believe that he had arrived, Yu Haoran, who blamed himself even more, took the initiative to answer Huang Baohua's question on behalf of Chu Zhongyu, while using a gust of wind to open the gate of the courtyard. Junior brothers, junior sisters, let's go in. After taking a deep breath and calming himself down, Chu Zhongyu indicated to Lu Guangwei and the others. Chapter 1826. Qingyan Peak, 9th Courtyard. Eldest senior brother. Seeing Chu Zhongyu and the others enter the courtyard, Yu Haoran hurriedly got up and greeted them with a smile. 9th junior brother, when did you come back? From Yu Haoran's gentle smile, Chu Zhongyu could clearly feel the enthusiasm before there was a knot in his heart. He quickened his pace and walked into the pavilion. Just now, after a simple response, Yu Haoran motioned for the eldest and second senior brothers to sit down. He began to use his divine sense to carefully check the progress of the cultivation of the other senior brothers and Gongsun Yuding. Yuding, with the Qingyan Peak that I personally transformed, which is not inferior to the immortal realm, and with the assistance of a top special physique, why is your cultivation only at the early first grade martial saint? After checking the progress of everyone's cultivation, Yu Haoran directly looked at Gongsun Yuding. He ignored the remaining tears at the corner of her eyes and quickly put away the gentle smile on his face. He asked with a serious expression, Senior brother, not only am I the only martial saint expert in the sect, but I'm also the record holder for being the youngest person to break through to the martial saint realm. Is my progress in cultivation still considered slow? Faced with Yu Haoran's question, Gongsun Yuding, who was used to being flattered by the elders of the sect, suddenly felt very unconvinced. Yun Xiang, your first disciple, was injured by the ghost-devouring poison when her mother was pregnant with her. As a result, she was unable to set foot on the path of cultivation because of the ghost-devouring poison. Faced with Gongsun Yuding's unconvinced refutation, Yu Haoran did not show the slightest trace of anger. He only calmly narrated Yun Xiang's growth experience. 2 years ago, I met Yun Xiang at the Heavenly Earth Chamber of Commerce in Guangling City. After helping her solve the problem of being unable to cultivate, I accepted her as a disciple for special reasons. In more than 2 years, other than giving her a relatively good cultivation method, I did not guide her in her cultivation, nor did I give her too many cultivation resources. A month ago, Yun Xiang successfully advanced to the early stage of a first-grade martial honorable. At this point, Yu Haoran abruptly stood up and raised his voice as he asked, Yuding, Yun Xiang, whose physique and cultivation environment are not as good as yours, was able to become a peerless expert at the top of the martial venerable realm in just 2 years. What about you? In the face of Yu Haoran's stern questioning, Gongsun Yuding left the pavilion in a panic. Ignoring Gongsun Yuding, who had left the pavilion, Yu Haoran swept his gaze over the 8 people in the pavilion. His expression returned to normal as he began to talk about Wu Zhengjuan's experiences. If you don't know Yun Xiang and don't have a deep impression of her growth, then your 10th junior brother, Wu Zhengjun, must be very familiar with her. Ever since we left Clearwind Peak, Zhengjun spent most of his time cultivating and gaining experience outside alone. He basically did not receive any guidance or help from me. However, half a month ago, Zhengjun broke through Emperor Wu's 3rd-grade peak in one fell swoop and became one of the most powerful experts in the Tianxin continent. At this point, Yu Haoran's gaze turned to Chu Zhongyu, Huang Zonghua, and Gongsun Yiming. His eyes revealed a look of disappointment. Eldest senior brother, 5th senior brother, Yiming, your talents, and potential do not lose to Zhengjuan's. Look at the brave Zhengjun, and look at the greedy Zhengjun. Don't tell me you don't feel ashamed at all. In the face of Yu Haoran's questioning, whether it was Chu Zhongyu, Huang Zonghua, and Gongsun Yiming who were called, or Lu Guangwei, Dong Mingyu, Cheng Yun, Pan Yuhai, and Xiaonan were not called, all of them lowered their heads in shame. With the transformation of Clear Wind Peak into a blessed land that was not inferior to a fairyland, and Yu Haoran's unceasing rise in prestige, the disciples of Clear Wind Peak and the 100 Chi Gate, in the 100 Chi Gate's affiliated forces, and in the sphere of influence within a radius of thousands of miles, received top treatment that was not inferior to that of a second-rate sex leader. This caused them to sink into vanity and enjoyment and unconsciously relax their demands on themselves. Their original mentality of cultivating and gaining experience also gradually relaxed. Now, in the face of Yu Haoran's warning, and in the face of the difference between him and Wu Zhengjun, Chu Zhongyu, who immediately realized his mistake, took the lead to express his position. Ninth junior brother, tomorrow morning I will go to the withered forest at the border of the southern region and the western region to find a kind of 100-leaf needle that can be used to stimulate one's potential. Eldest senior brother, I'll go with you. Eldest senior brother, I'll go too. Eldest senior brother. In addition to Gongsun Yuding, the rest of the senior brothers and Gongsun Yiming all took the initiative to ask to go to the withered forest together. In this regard, Yu Haoran nodded with deep satisfaction, and then looked at Gongsun Yuding, who had returned to the Wind Pavilion. After careful consideration, he took out a blank jade slip from his storage ring. After marking a clear route, he directly threw the jade slip into Gongsun Yuding's hand and instructed her, "Don't worry. Yuding, tomorrow morning you will follow the route marked in the jade slip to Foam Run City in the eastern region, and then follow my 2 disciples to cultivate and gain experience." "Yes, ninth senior brother." Clenching the jade slip in her hand, Gongsun Yuding replied excitedly. After nodding to indicate Gongsun Yuding to leave, Yu Haoran took out a large number of spirit stones and spiritual veins from the storage ring and the Victor, mental cultivation methods and martial skills, books, and jade slips about cultivation comprehension, as well as top elixirs and celestial devices. He put these cultivation resources into different storage rings, and then handed them to Chu Zhongyu. In this regard, Chu Zhongyu did not refuse. After cupping his hands and thanking him, he directly put away all the storage rings. After Chu Zhongyu put away all the storage rings, Yu Haoran ordered second senior brother and the others, "Eldest senior brother, stay here for the time being. Senior brothers, Yiming and Yuding, go back for the time being. Ninth junior brother will go back first." Knowing that Yu Haoran had important matters to discuss with his eldest senior brother, Lu Guangwei tactfully nodded and left the 9th courtyard with the others. After Lu Guangwei and the others left the 9th courtyard, Yu Haoran turned to look at Chu Zhongyu and asked, "Eldest senior brother, is there any news of Master?" "No." Shaking his head, Chu Zhongyu's eyes revealed a trace of worry as he replied, "Ninth junior brother, although Master used to travel all over the world, he rarely traveled for more than a year. There were only a few times when he traveled for more than a year, and Master would use the communication jade slip to inform us so that we wouldn't worry about him. But this time is completely different from the past." After hearing Chu Zhongyu's reply, Yu Haoran slightly frowned. At the same time, the fingers of his left hand quickly tapped on the stone table, thinking about the reason why Master had not returned for so long. Chapter 1827. Qingyan Peak in the 9th courtyard. Eldest senior brother, leave Master's matter to me. You should go back and prepare for tomorrow's training. Since he didn't have any thoughts, Yu Haoran decided to use Fushi's 8 trigrams to divine his master's whereabouts and safety. At the same time, considering that eldest senior brother still had to take the other senior brothers to the withered forest for a dangerous training, he couldn't be too distracted. Thus, after relaxing his frown, Yu Haoran smiled and instructed Chu Zhongyu. "Okay, 9th junior brother, I'll go back first." Chu Zhongyu, who was already used to listening to Yu Haoran's orders, stood up and cupped his hands in acknowledgement before turning to leave the ninth courtyard. The moment Chu Zhongyu left the ninth courtyard, Yu Haoran appeared in his master's hidden moon pavilion. Using his divine sense, he finally found a set of clothes that his master had changed into. Putting away the clothes, he quickly returned to the ninth courtyard and used a Formula Dao secret technique to collect the remaining aura on the clothes. Yu Haoran sat cross-legged on the grass in the courtyard and began to use Fushi's 8 trigrams to divine Feng Qingyun's whereabouts and safety with the help of the aura he had just collected. Danger contains an opportunity for transformation. Death hides a weak chance of survival. It is impossible to pinpoint a specific location within the mist. Even though his Formula Dao cultivation had already reached the martial Grandmaster realm, even with the help of Feng Qingyun's remaining aura, the scene of the innate divination was still shrouded in white mist. He couldn't divine his master's whereabouts or safety. Helpless, Yu Haoran could only use the Book of Changes he had obtained from the Buddha's snake. Using the Book of Changes karma aura, he could divine his master's fate. In the end, he obtained the 3 sentences above. According to the 3 sentences deduced by the Book of Changes, his master was currently trapped in a perilous situation with a slim chance of survival. At the same time, the true location of this perilous situation could not be deduced. Although it was a perilous situation, it contained a chance of survival. If he was able to grab hold of a slim chance of survival in a hopeless situation, then not only would he be able to escape danger, he would also be able to obtain the opportunity to be reborn and realize a tremendous change in his cultivation and strength. After dispersing the aura he had collected and stopping the Book of Changes calculations, Yu Haoran raised his head and looked in the direction of the western region. A look of contemplation flashed across his eyes. Ever since the battle of the Immortal Lotus 3 years ago, all the Emperor Realm exotic beasts in the depths of the mountain range where the 100 Chi Gate was located had died. It had been a long time since an Emperor Realm overlord had appeared. Nonetheless, as the universe's spiritual chi returned and the heavenly law's rules faded, the mountain range, which had regained its vitality, began to appear in large numbers again. Considering that most of the disciples of the Qingyun faction had already reached the martial Emperor Realm, and Gongsun Yuding was a martial Saint Realm expert, the Qingyun faction's disciples had already reached the martial Emperor Realm. Even if the exotic beasts in the depths of the mountain range recovered their peak strength, they wouldn't be able to pose any threat to the 100 Chi Gate. Yu Haoran, who was hurrying towards the primordial forest, ignored the exotic beasts that had just reached the Emperor Realm not long ago. However, just as he passed by the cave where He Xiong used to cultivate, a scene suddenly appeared in his mind. He couldn't help but stop in his tracks and land in front of the cave's entrance. Looking at the green rock in front of the cave, Yu Haoran asked with a trace of worry in his eyes as he recalled the little white fox that was only 5 to 6 centimeters tall and less than 10 centimeters long. Faling, do you think something will happen to that charming fox? Back then, he had used the yin side of the yin-yang life and death mirror to block Bai Tong's bloodline secret technique, the purple origin divine light. However, he had accidentally peeked into Bai Tong's tragic life. Because of that, Bai Tong had completely relied on him, making him responsible for her life. According to what Bai Tong had said back then, the charming fox's special bloodline would give her a chance to transform into a human when she successfully ascended to Saint stage. At that time, she would come looking for him and make him fulfill the promise of marrying her. Now, 2 years had passed since the promised time. Not only had Bai Tong not come looking for trouble with him, there had been no news of the charming fox in the entire Tianxin continent. Yu Haoran couldn't help but feel worried. He was worried that Bai Tong, with her extraordinary bloodline, might have met with some trouble. After all, Bai Tong, who had transformed into a human, not only possessed a peerless beauty that could bring chaos to the world, but her extreme physique was also very suitable to become a cauldron. Probably not. Faling knew that the charming fox, who had inherited the ancient nine-tailed celestial fox's bloodline, had some heaven-defying, life-saving methods. He knew that even if a martial god personally made a move, he might not be able to harm them. So he didn't think that something would happen to the cunning and fickle Baitong. I hope so. Thalink's reply reassured Yu Haoran slightly. He then used his divine thought to condense an image and imprinted it on the green stone. If Baitong were to return here, he hoped that she would be able to see the message he had left for her. Then, he immediately soared into the air and headed straight for the primeval forest in the depths of the mountain range. Something's not right. Just as Yu Haoran landed on the edge of the cliff that led to the primeval forest, his divine thought quickly scanned the primeval forest and warned Thaling with a frown. Actually, even without Thalink's warning, Yu Haoran had already noticed that there were changes in the primeval forest below the cliff. Regardless of whether it was the fight for the celestial lotus or the search for medicinal ingredients for refining pills, when he had entered the primeval forest previously, although the spiritual energy in the forest was very dense, it was only about 10 times more dense than the spiritual energy in the mountain range. Now, the spiritual energy in the primeval forest below the cliff was so dense that it had completely turned into fog. The density was 100 times that of the spiritual energy in the mountain range. Fortunately, the successive breakthroughs in his cultivation allowed him to possess the strength of a beginner in the martial god realm. Even in the face of the changes in the primeval forest, he did not have the slightest fear or worry. Mobilizing the power of law of flash and appearance, he directly appeared at the bottom of the cliff and stepped into the primeval forest without any hesitation. How is this possible? However, when he entered the primeval forest for the second time, he saw a blood ginseng that was less than 10,000 years old and had not reached rank 4. Now, it was a blood ginseng that was more than 10,000 years old and had advanced to the limit of rank 2, grade 9. Yu Haoran revealed a look of disbelief. It had been less than 2 years since the last time he entered the primeval forest. Even if the spiritual energy in the primeval forest had increased by 100 times and could accelerate the speed and age of medicinal ingredients, it was impossible to directly upgrade a blood ginseng that was less than 10,000 years old to a blood ginseng that was 100,000 years old. Yu Haoran, be alert. I feel a very dangerous aura hidden in this forest. Thaling, who did not notice the changes in the blood ginseng, used his divine thought at the peak of rank 3 martial god realm to thoroughly search every inch of land and space in the forest for the mark of chaos that Yu Haoran had deduced. Chapter 1828. In the Primeval Forest. Got it. Nodding in response to Thaling's reminder, Yu Haoran activated the defense of the ancestral witch's body and took out the celestial trapping sword. Then, he used his mind to observe the changes in the surroundings. After that, he used his elemental energy to wrap the Blood King ginseng that had reached level 2, grade 9, into the victor. Then, he continued to go deeper into the primeval forest. The blood-clotting grass that has reached level 2, grade 9, and has reached the limit of level 2, grade 9. Less than 100 meters into the forest, Yu Haoran saw another spiritual herb that he did not pick for the second time because of its age and grade. He did not give up the opportunity in front of him just because of the strange changes in the primeval forest. After using his elemental energy to wrap the blood-clotting grass, he continued to go deeper into the primeval forest. The lifebone flower that has reached level 2, grade 9, and has reached the limit of level 2, grade 9. Continuing to go deeper into the primeval forest, Yu Haoran found another top spiritual flower that was still less than 100 meters away. The elemental energy fruit that has reached level 2, grade 9, and has reached the limit of level 2, grade 9. The Chalcedony Ganoderma that has reached level 2, grade 9, and has reached the limit of level 2, grade 9. The flame flower that has reached level 2, grade 9, and has reached the limit of level 2, grade 9. When he was less than 1,000 meters away from the stream, in the middle of the primeval forest, Yu Haoran stopped moving forward. His eyes revealed a look of contemplation, because on the way to the stream, he had picked a total of 19 different types of spiritual herbs, spiritual flowers, and spiritual fruits. Whether it was the cycle of growth, the amount of spiritual energy absorbed, or the time needed to upgrade, the 17 types of spiritual herbs, spiritual flowers, and spiritual fruits were completely different. However, in less than 2 years, they had all reached level 2, grade 9, and had reached the limit of level 2, grade 9. This situation could only mean one thing. The growth and upgrade of the herbs in the primeval forest were being manipulated. There is a mysterious force secretly leading all of this. After hearing Yu Howren's reminder, Thaling pondered for a while, and then looked at the primeval forest through the barrier of the sea of consciousness space. A vicious look flashed in his eyes. Following this, he quickly withdrew his divine sense that was searching for the chaos marks. He executed a special secret technique, allowing his peak 3rd grade martial god realm divine sense to form a dome that loomed over the primitive forest. Immediately after, the sky formed by divine will rapidly shrank and began to compress the space of the primeval forest with all its might, destroying everything in the primeval forest. In response, Yu Howren did not say anything to stop them. He only appeared beside the stream in a flash and watched the sky that was constantly oppressing and destroying the primeval forest. As the sky condensed by the divine will continued to shrink, the compressed spirit mist in the primitive forest gradually began to condense into drops of spirit rain, smashing onto Yu Howren's face and gathering in the spring under his feet as the density had reached its limit. As more and more spirit rain gathered, the spring water in the stream began to rise and gradually covered his feet. By the time the sky condensed by the spiritual was only 1,000 meters away from him, the height of the spring water had already reached his knees. Thaling stopped. Due to the pressure of the sky, the primeval forest did not change at all. Yu Howren's attention gradually shifted to the spring water that reached his knees. In the beginning, he did not notice anything unusual about the spring water. However, when the amount of spirit rain gathered exceeded the amount of spring water, and the stream under his feet should have turned into a spiritual spring, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. He immediately used his divine sense to investigate. Through the careful inspection of his divine sense, he discovered that almost half of the pure spiritual energy in the spirit rain that had merged with the spring water had disappeared into thin air. Considering that the sky condensed by Thaling spiritual could prevent any leakage of spiritual energy, he immediately realized that the secret to controlling the entire primeval forest might be hidden in the stream under his feet. Yu Howren, I have used my divine sense to carefully check 3 times just now. Including the bottom of the stream, the soil within 10,000 meters is the most ordinary soil. There are no hidden secrets. After hearing Yu Howren's speculation, Thaling shook his head and gave a different opinion. It's just ordinary soil. After hearing Thaling's reply, Yu Howren frowned slightly and stared at the spring water. His eyes flashed with doubt and thought. Since the spiritual energy contained in the spirit rain could not have seeped out through the sky, it was also not absorbed by the soil under the stream. Then, where did the disappearing pure spiritual energy go? Unable to figure out, Yu Howren simply used a part of his divine sense to enter the stream and the bottom of the stream to trace the reason for the disappearance of the spiritual energy. However, when his divine sense checked all the spring water in the stream and the bottom of the stream within 1,000 meters, he obtained the same result as Thaling. He could only helplessly give up his idea. As he quickly retracted his divine sense, he planned to continue observing the sky that Thaling had begun to close again. A few leaves that were constantly moving up and down due to the influence of the rapidly rising spring water immediately caught his attention. Back then, the reason why the divine lotus in the stream was able to advance so quickly in such a short period of time was not because of the living soil that took root, nor was it because it attracted the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the primeval forest. It was as if the huge amount of energy needed to grow and advance had appeared out of thin air. Now, the pure spiritual energy contained in the water of the stream had also disappeared out of thin air. Then, did the pure spiritual energy that appeared out of thin air and disappeared out of thin air all originate from the same place? And the reason why this place could not be discovered by him and Thaling's divine sense was very likely because it was attached to the Tianxian continent and could exist in an independent space. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that his speculation made sense. Yu Haoran simply sat cross-legged in the stream and let the rapidly rising spring water submerge his head. Then, he used the several special powers of law that he had comprehended with the help of the void fruit and the space crystal to search and test whether his speculation was correct or not. After nearly 5 minutes of inspection, just when the sky condensed by Thaling's divine sense was less than 100 meters away from the stream, and just when the pure spiritual energy that had gathered in the stream was disappearing and increasing rapidly, he finally used the senses of the several special powers of law to discover an anomaly 9 meters below the surface of the stream. Thaling, come and see. Limited by his own strength and shallow comprehension of the powers of law, Yu Haoran was unable to further investigate the deeper secrets 9 meters below the surface of the stream. He could only hurriedly summon Thaling, who was closing the sky. After hearing Yu Haoran summon, Thaling used his remaining divine sense to come 9 meters below the surface of the stream. Chapter 1829. In the Primeval Forest. When Thaling forcefully tore open the space 9 meters below the ground of the spring with his divine sense of a peak third-level martial god, a thick, pitch-black gas quickly rushed out of the crack in the space. Yu Haoran, withdraw your divine sense immediately and leave the spring. When the pitch-black gas rushed out of the crack in the space, Thaling's expression suddenly changed, and he shouted with a trace of fear in his voice. In the 3 years that he had known Thaling, no matter what kind of danger he had encountered, no matter how strong his opponent was, he had never seen him so panicked and frightened like today. Knowing that the pitch-black gas rushing out of the crack in the space must contain a danger that even Thaling could not resist, Yu Haoran did not hesitate at all. He quickly withdrew his divine sense from the bottom of the spring and used the power of law of flash to help him move 1,000 meters away from the spring in an instant. Boom! The moment Yu Haoran left the spring, the pitch-black gas directly broke through the soil under the spring and quickly appeared in the air above the spring. Squeak! Looking at the primeval forest that had been completely destroyed by Thaling's divine sense, an angry scream came from the pitch-black gas. This sounds like the black rat's voice. Hearing the familiar scream from the pitch-black gas, Yu Haoran immediately recalled the black rat he had encountered in the mountains 3 years ago and asked excitedly, "Brother Black Rat, is that you?" Hearing Yu Haoran's emotional interrogation, the scream and the pitch-black gas immediately stopped. Then, the pitch-black gas quickly rushed back to the spring and then returned to the bottom of the spring through the tunnel that had just been blasted out. "Brother Black Rat, don't go." The sudden return of the pitch-black gas to the bottom of the spring made Yu Haoran even more certain that the scream from the pitch-black gas just now was the black rat that had promised him that it would come back. He shouted loudly as he used the power of law of flash to rush into the bottom of the spring. "Yu Haoran, stop chasing." The communication between Yu Haoran and the creature hidden in the black gas, and the sudden escape of the black gas, caused the panicking Thaling to be momentarily stunned. Therefore, he did not immediately stop Yu Haoran from rushing into the underground stream. However, when he snapped out of his daze and saw Yu Haoran about to rush into the crack in the void, he hurriedly reminded him loudly. Yu Haoran asked loudly as he quickly dispersed the power of the law of the two elements and forcibly stopped himself from charging forward. He then looked at the crack in the void that was torn apart by Thaling's divine sense. "Brother Black Rat, when we parted at Clear Cloud Peak that day, you'd once promised me that you'd accompany me to roam the profound sky continent, experience various dangerous places, and see the prosperity of the world clearly. Why did you never return? While loudly questioning the black rat that had escaped back into the independent space, Howren also asked Thowling the reason for his panic just now. Howren, that pitch-black ass is called soul burial. It is a destructive power that can specifically restrain and harm the soul. Its power is hundreds of times stronger than the destructive soul-severing divine thunder. When he heard Howren ask him why he was so afraid of the pitch-black gas, Thowling explained with a trace of fear in his eyes. At the same time, the pitch-black gas hides an aura that can rob the fortune of a living being and manipulate the fate of a living being. This aura is far more dangerous than the pitch-black gas. With my current cultivation and strength, no matter if I encounter the pitch-black gas or the creature hidden in the pitch-black gas, the only outcome is death. Howren was completely stunned by Thowling's description of the pitch-black gas and the ability of the black rat. He could not confirm whether the pitch-black gas called soul burial had the ability to restrain and destroy the soul without understanding the situation. However, he was very familiar with the black rat that he had spent some time with and fought with. If the black rat really had the means to rob the fortune of a living being and manipulate the fate of a living being, then the result of the battle between them would not have been a tie. Thowling, could you have sensed wrongly? Howren asked in disbelief. Howren, I personally experienced the destruction of the ancient times and the Middle Ages. The soul burial and the creature hidden in it are one of the culprits of the destruction of the ancient times and the Middle Ages. Do you think my senses could be wrong? Faced with Howren's doubts, Thowling's tone was a little unhappy as he explained with an example. Faced with Thowling's example, Howren did not know how to refute. Squeak, squeak, squeak. At this moment, from the independent space of the void gap, a squeak suddenly came, accompanied by the squeaking of a rat, a huge black rat that was nearly 10 meters tall and nearly 100 meters long walked out of the tear in the void. Brother Black Rat. Although the black rat that walked out of the void gap was huge, Howren recognized it at first sight because of its intelligent eyes and familiar aura. Looking at the excited Howren, the black rat straightened up and asked helplessly, "Why are you here again? Brother Black Rat, don't you welcome me?" Howren, who was excited, approached the black rat and asked with a smile, "Howren, don't come any closer. This is a divine rat that has reached the peak of the 9th level of the divine realm. It is also the source of the aura that can rob the fate of living creatures and control their fate." Just when Howren was less than 10 meters away from the black rat, Thowling quickly reminded him with a frightened look on his face as he deduced the true origin of the black rat from the image of the previous device spirit. Given the size of the black rat, 10 meters was the best distance to talk to each other. Therefore, Howren, who had stopped, was not shocked and frightened by Thowling's reminder at all. His expression did not change at all. He still looked at the black rat with a gentle smile on his face. "You can't come to this place." Faced with Howren's question, the black rat turned to look at the void gap and said with a trace of worry in its eyes. Seeing the worry in the black rat's eyes, Howren put away the smile on his face and asked, "Brother Black Rat, why can't I come to this place?" At the same time, he also asked Thowling in his sea of consciousness, "Thowling, what is a divine rat of destiny? Why can a black rat that was lower than me reach the peak of the 9th level of the divine realm now?" Chapter 1830. In the primeval forest. After a full 3 minutes of silence, the giant black rat was the first to reply to Howren's question. This forest is called the Calamity Realm. It was formed from a large amount of destructive aura and power, as well as the energy from the law of destruction's origin, when heaven and earth were on the verge of destruction. In this world, other than a specific living being who can safely enter this place, there is only one outcome for any living being who enters the Calamity Realm, and that is the destruction of their soul. Brother Black Rat, how is it that I was able to enter this primeval forest and leave safely afterwards? The giant black rat's explanation of the primeval forest before him made Howren vaguely feel that he had found the key to the problem. However, In the absence of more information, he could not grasp the key to the problem no matter what. Helplessly, he could only hope that the giant black rat could reveal more information so that he could find the key to the problem and solve the doubts that kept surging in his heart. Unfortunately, in the face of Yu Haoran's questioning, the giant black rat's eyes revealed a hint of mockery. What do you think? I understand now. The giant black rat's mocking question allowed Yu Haoran to understand the other party's explanation. The reason why he was able to leave the primeval forest safely the previous 2 times was because of the other party's secret help. However, the other party's mocking question did not reveal any secrets about the primeval forest, which made his previous question fruitless. At this moment, Thowling in his consciousness began to explain the origin of the Calamity Divine Rat. Yu Haoran, the Calamity Divine Rat, is only a kind of spiritual rat in the legends. It was born from the accumulated destructive power between heaven and earth when heaven and earth were on the verge of destruction. According to legend, the appearance of the Calamity Divine Rat not only means that heaven and earth's lifespan has come to an end, but it also means that a catastrophe is about to happen. Thowling's explanation of the Calamity Divine Rat made Yu Haoran feel more clearly the key to the problem and vaguely grasp the key point of the problem. He hurriedly asked, "Thowling, according to your explanation just now, the Calamity Divine Rat should have a certain connection with the immeasurable calamity. The beginning of the immeasurable calamity meant that a catastrophe was about to happen. The end of the immeasurable calamity indicated that the Tianxian land was officially moving from destruction to a new life. The beginning and end of the immeasurable calamity were exactly the same as what the divine rat had foretold. How could there be no connection between the two?" After hearing Yu Haoran's question, Thowling fell into deep thought. Just as Thowling was deep in thought, the giant black rat's body suddenly trembled. Its eyes flashed with a hint of panic as it hurriedly instructed Yu Haoran, "Hurry up and leave this place." "Brother Black Rat, what's wrong?" Yu Haoran, who had noticed the black rat's abnormality, hurriedly asked with concern. "Don't ask why. Leave this place immediately." The giant black rat's expression suddenly changed, and a fierce look appeared in its eyes as it reprimanded. "Yu Haoran, listen to Heishu's orders and leave this place quickly." Although Thowling had once been a supreme existence at the peak of the martial saint realm, and had lost the strength of a peak martial saint due to the injuries to his body and soul, he still had the instincts of a peak powerhouse. The moment the giant black rat's body trembled, a dangerous feeling of being locked on by fate made him immediately realize that an even more powerful and dangerous existence was awakening in this independent space. Therefore, he hurriedly reminded Yu Haoran to leave this place. The giant black rat's fierce order and Thowling's nervous reminder caused Yu Haoran to quickly extinguish the thought of continuing to pursue the crux of the matter. The power of the law of dual laws flashed, allowing him to instantly leave the spring and appear 1,000 meters above the spring. Rumble. Just as Yu Haoran left the bottom of the spring, a series of rumbling sounds came from the bottom of the spring. Accompanied by the continuous rumbling sounds, the ground of the entire primitive forest began to tremble violently. "Go back." The giant black rat had also charged out from the bottom of the spring. When it saw the ground tremble violently, it roared and stomped its 4 huge claws on the ground of the spring. With the suppression of the giant black rat, the trembling ground gradually calmed down. However, the giant black rat's tiny eyes revealed a panicked expression. It raised its head to look at Yu Haoran, who was floating in the air above the spring, and roared hoarsely, "Leave this forest immediately. Leave this mountain range." Without any hesitation, Yu Haoran directly extended his hand and tore open the space before him. He planned to instantly leave this place by traversing through space. Bang! However, just as he was about to insert his hands into the void, which was as hard as a divine artifact, bounced his hands back. Yu Haoran did not panic at all in the face of space that could not be torn open. He calmly and rapidly circulated the power of the law of dual laws of speed before directly charging towards the cliff that led to the entrance of the primitive forest. Bang! However, just as he reached the edge of the primitive forest, a layer of formless energy also bounced him back heavily. Fortunately, the bouncing energy formed by the formless barrier was very gentle and did not cause him any harm. Boom! Seeing Yuhauran being bounced back, the giant black rat raised its two huge claws in front of it and slammed them heavily on the ground again. Let him leave this place. Don't force my hand. Rumble. In the face of the giant black rat's threat, the response from the bottom of the spring was to slam the ground even more violently, wanting to break free from the independent space and the restraints of the spring. If that's the case, then don't blame me for breaking our agreement. Faced with an existence that refused to yield to its threat, a trace of hostility flashed in the giant black rat's eyes. Its tail rapidly lengthened and then heavily whipped towards the formless barrier that was preventing Yuhauran from leaving. Boom! Accompanied by a deafening roar, the giant black tail that was tens of thousands of meters long slammed heavily on the formless barrier. The invisible barrier, which Yuhauran was unable to shake even with the power of the laws of speed, was struck by the black tail. Countless ripples immediately appeared on the invisible barrier, allowing Yuhauran to clearly see the specific area covered by the invisible barrier. Seeing that the black rat's tail could shake the formless barrier, Yuhauran's eyes flashed with a bright light. He immediately took out the celestial trapping sword and the celestial eliminating sword, intending to cooperate with the black rat to attack the formless barrier at the same time. In the sea of consciousness space, Thaling also took out the two divine artifacts UN2 and Avicii from Victor at the same time, intending to cooperate with the giant black rat to break through the formless barrier. Boom! 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 As the giant black rat's black tail hit the formless barrier for the second time, Yuhauran immediately waved the celestial trapping sword and the celestial eliminating sword to perform the most powerful sword technique, directly slashing towards the spot that was hit by the giant black tail. Chapter 1831. In the primeval forest, along with the continuous rumbling, a visible crack appeared in the invisible barrier that was attacked by the black giant tail, the immortal trapping sword, the exterminating sword, the Yuan killer sword, and the Avicii divine sword. Looking at the small crack, Yuhauran was pleasantly surprised. He immediately turned to He Shu and ordered, "Brother He Shu, continue." However, as soon as he finished giving the order, he was completely stunned. This was because when they were attacking the invisible barrier, a huge pitch-black stone tablet that was about 10,000 meters tall and 1,000 meters wide emerged from the bottom of the spring. Of course, what really stunned Yuhauran was that the front of the black stone tablet was engraved with densely packed white words. Each word represented the name or title of a living creature. Bell of Chaos, Hautian Seal, Spacetime Victor, Void Mirror, Burning Spirit, Silver Spirit, Star Spirit, Void Spirit Rat, Void Walker Beast, Blue Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, Eternal Green, Ancestral Dragon, Gigu Zi Laozi, Nirvana, Tantian, Yuanshi, Zenyuanzi. When he saw the stone tablet erected under the spring and the densely packed names on it, Thaling was pleasantly surprised. He shouted excitedly, "Yuhauran, this is the Destiny Stone Tablet that belongs to you, the Son of Destiny. It can really start the immeasurable calamity and control the life and death of countless living creatures." At the same time, Thaling finally understood why He Shu and the independent space under the spring gave him the feeling that his fate was being controlled and threatened. After hearing Thaling's reminder, Yuhauran woke up from the shock and couldn't help but frown and ask, "Tower Spirit, if this black stone tablet in front of me is the legendary Destiny Stone Tablet, why can't I sense anything from it?" According to Thaling's introduction of the Son of Destiny and the Destiny Stone Tablet, when the Destiny Stone Tablet just left the independent space that concealed its aura, he should have sensed it. But in the end, "You Howren, it's my fault." After hearing Yu Howren's question, Thowling suddenly recalled that in order to conceal his aura and identity as the Chosen One, he had used a forbidden technique to completely seal the Chosen One. After a simple explanation and apology to Yu Howren, Thowling immediately mobilized the space-time energy within Victor's main body, as well as the 18 marks of chaos, and forcefully tore apart the seal formed by the forbidden secret technique. The moment the seal was torn, Yu Howren felt a connection with his flesh and blood. He immediately felt that the Destiny Stone steel was like an organ in his body. He could control and manipulate it at will. When Yu Howren revealed the aura of the Child of Destiny, the giant black rat, who was planning to use its black tail to drag the Destiny Stone tablet back to the bottom of the stream, was shocked. At the same time, its eyes were filled with excitement and joy. The moment the Destiny Stone tablet completely left the bottom of the stream, in a nameless valley on the border of the eastern and southern regions, an old man in silver Taoist robes who was sitting cross-legged on a huge chessboard suddenly opened his eyes. A trace of doubt flashed through his eyes. Looking at the old man in the scorching sun robe and the old man in the starry robe whose eyes were tightly shut, the old man in the silver moon robe pondered for a moment. Then, his 10 fingers began to condense dozens of marks. The condensed marks quickly condensed into a mirror, and the image of the entire southern region appeared in the mirror. The old man in the silver moon robe stretched out his skinny left hand and pressed it on the surface of the mirror, chanting, "In the name of the Middle Ages Spirit Destroyer, I summon the order of all things, the rules of the heavenly Tao, the master of fate, and the destruction of chaos to guide the manifestation of the will of destiny." As the old man in the silver moon robe chanted, the image of the southern region in the mirror quickly shrank. Soon, the image of the entire territory of the Emperor Qin's kingdom was displayed. However, at this moment, a streak of white energy appeared in the mirror out of thin air. It directly sent the old man in the silver moon robe flying as he spat out a mouthful of blood. "Silver Moon, what's wrong?" The sudden change in the old man in the silver moon robe's aura immediately attracted the attention of the old man in the starry robe. After opening his eyes, the old man in the starry robe asked in concern, "The backlash of the Destiny Soul Lock mystic technique." The old man in the silver moon robe replied calmly after wiping away the remaining blood at the corner of his mouth. "Silver Moon, why did you suddenly use the Destiny Soul Lock mystic technique?" The old man in the starry robe asked with a slight frown. "Just a minute ago, I vaguely sensed the birth of the Destiny Stone tablet. I plan to use the Destiny Soul Lock mystic technique to completely lock onto the Destiny Stone tablet's exact location, and then hand it to the Child of Destiny to refine." The old man in the silver moon robe explained the reason he used the mystic technique as he looked at the image of the Emperor Qin's kingdom that eventually settled on the mirror. "Silver Moon, although I, the starry spirit destroyer, was born much earlier than you and Scorching Sun, my understanding of the Destiny Stone tablet far surpasses yours." The old man in the starry robe frowned when he heard the old man in the silver moon robe's reason for using the mystic technique. The Destiny Stone tablet will only leave its independent space and officially appear in front of the world when it senses the Child of Destiny's aura within a certain range. At this point, the old man in the starry robes pointed at the mirror that the old man in the silver moon robes had condensed. The image of the great Qin Empire in the mirror was quickly replaced by a palace floating in the air. The old man in the starry robe extended his finger and pressed down. The image quickly zoomed in to reveal a middle-aged man sitting cross-legged on a jade bed, absorbing pure spiritual energy. Now, the Child of Destiny is still cultivating in the heavenly palace. How could the Destiny Stone tablet appear so early? The old man in the silver moon robe looked at the cultivating Ji Xing and thought back to the old man in the starry robe's explanation. In the end, the old man in the silver moon robe believed that he had sensed wrongly and didn't need to continue searching for the Destiny Stone tablet's whereabouts. Thus, when he extended his hand to wipe away the mirror formed by the mystic technique, the old man in the scorching sun robe, who hadn't moved in a million years, suddenly opened his eyes. Two balls of fire burned in his eyes. Silvermoon's senses were not wrong. The Destiny Stone tablet has indeed appeared. The old man in the Silver Moon robe suddenly stopped and asked with a slightly shaken expression, "Scorching sun, where exactly is the Destiny Stone tablet appearing?" The old man in the Scorching Sun robe shook his head and helplessly explained, "Although the three of us are divine spirits condensed from resentment, we are still living beings with our own lives and fortunes. We are also restricted by the Destiny Stone tablet, so we can't use the mystic technique to find the Destiny Stone tablet's exact location." Chapter 1832. In a nameless valley. Starry, go and retrieve a drop of blood from the child of Destiny's heart. The Scorching Sun Taoist lowered his head in thought for a moment before instructing the Starry Sky Taoist and the Silver Moon Taoist. Silver Moon, retrieve a drop of blood essence from one of the 10 great ancient beasts. Yes. The Starry Sky Taoist and the Silver Moon Taoist nodded in response to the Scorching Sun Taoist instructions and quickly closed their eyes. In less than 3 seconds, a pill bottle appeared in the hands of the old man in the starry robe and the old man in the Silver Moon robe. They then handed the pill bottle to the old man in the Scorching Sun robe. Casually placing the pill bottle containing the blood essence on the chessboard, the old man in Scorching Sun Taoist robes glanced at the mirror formed by the old man in Silver Moon Taoist robes and nodded with satisfaction. Silver Moon, it seems that you already possess the strength to break through to the sovereign realm after comprehending the destruction of the late ancient era. The Scorching Sun Taoist's blazing eyes then shot out 2 beams of scorching light that could even incinerate the void. The 2 beams of scorching light quickly merged into the mirror formed by the Silver Moon Taoist. The image that originally only showed the great Emperor Qin's territory further shrank until only a radius of 50,000 kilometers around Xianyang City remained. The Scorching Sun Taoist then waved his wide sleeves and shattered the 2 pill bottles placed on the chessboard. Then, 10 drops of blood essence that exuded a towering, baleful aura and an ordinary drop of blood merged into the mirror. As the blood essence of the vicious beasts and Ji Xing's heart's blood merged into the mirror, Xianyang City, Lanling City, Guangling City, Weishan City, Pingyang City, Medicine King Valley, the Star Tomb, the Demon Ceiling Realm, the Hunduan Mountain Range, and the Ridox Mountain Range were suddenly enveloped by the blood essence of the vicious beasts. Ji Xing's heart's blood floated on the surface of the mirror without the slightest change. The Scorching Sun Taoist's expression instantly darkened when he saw the heart's blood floating on the surface of the mirror. White smoke billowed from his nostrils. "Stars, Silver Moon, how did you determine the identity of Destiny's child?" After looking at each other, the old man in the Starry Taoist robe and the old man in the Silver Moon Taoist robe immediately stood up and jumped off the huge chessboard at the same time. The 2 of them condensed different imprints, which quickly merged with the chessboard. The chessboard, which had been motionless, began to slowly rise into the air as the imprint fused with it. Furthermore, it began to spin rapidly. Along with the rapid rotation of the chessboard, the power of stars rapidly condensed into chess pieces. After the chess pieces condensed from the dazzling power of stars left the chessboard, they gradually formed the shape of a person in the void 10,000 meters above the valley. However, the gaps between the chess pieces made it impossible to see the person's face clearly. However, regardless of whether it was his figure, aura, or the indifference in his eyes, he was 99% similar to Ji Xing, the master of the heavenly temple of the Yushu Temple. Perhaps it was because of this that the old man in the starry robe and the old man in the silver moon robe had finally confirmed that Ji Xing was this generation's child of destiny. After waving his sleeve to disperse the figure formed by the chess pieces, the old man in the scorching sun robe asked with a gloomy expression, This is the method you use to determine the identity of Destiny's Child. The old man in the starry Taoist robe and the old man in the silver moon Taoist robe stretched out their hands and pressed down. After the huge chessboard that had stopped spinning returned to its original position, the two of them sat cross-legged on the chessboard. Then, the old man in the silver moon Taoist robe revealed a trace of confusion in his eyes. Scorching sun, didn't you and I use this method in the past to determine the identity of Destiny's Child of late ancient times? Silver moon, using the profound mysteries of the dual laws of cause and effect in the star chessboard, we can determine the identity of Destiny's Child of middle ancient times and late ancient times. However, this calamity is the greatest calamity we have faced since the creation of the world. It is also the final calamity. After hearing Silver Moon's question, the old man in the scorching sun robe sighed softly and explained in detail. Therefore, in order to determine the Destiny's Child who can start and end the immeasurable calamity, in addition to the profound mysteries of the dual laws of trap and fruit contained in the chessboard, we also need to rely on the profound mysteries of the dual laws of fate that can be traced back to the source. Although the old man in the silver moon Taoist robe's explanation had resolved the doubts in the old man's heart, new doubts arose, and he immediately asked, "Scorching sun, since the ancient god and demon race were completely decayed and sealed, the profound mysteries of the dual laws of fate have disappeared. Now, where are we going to find this mysterious energy that can determine the identity of Destiny's Child?" Silver moon, decaying is decaying. Don't tell me you think that the ancient god and demon race's divine kings and demon kings are fools that they didn't consider this beforehand. The old man in the scorching sun robe asked with a sneer. "Scorching sun, you mean to—" Hearing the old man in the scorching sun robe's rhetorical question, the old man in the silver moon Taoist robe immediately grasped the key of the problem and said with a look of surprise in his eyes. However, before he finished speaking, he was forcibly interrupted by the old man in the scorching sun robe and directly ordered, "Silver moon, in the next period of time, you will pay close attention to the movements in the ancient god arena and the demon sealing secret realm and lock on the descendants of the divine king and demon king's direct bloodline. Search for the profound mysteries of the dual laws of fate from them." "I know." Nodding his head, the old man in the silver moon Taoist robe slowly closed his eyes. "Stars, now I can be 100% sure that the idiot in the Yushu temple is not Destiny's Child at all." The old man in the scorching sun robe looked at the old man in the starry Taoist robe with a hint of contempt in his eyes and reminded him, "Scorching sun, then I will kill him now." The old man in the starry Taoist robe reminded the old man in the starry Taoist robe of the care he had taken for Ji Xing and the Yushu temple all these years. Thinking of the huge investment he had made in the fake Destiny's Child, the old man in the starry Taoist robe flew into a rage out of humiliation, and a murderous intent rose in his heart. "No need." After shaking his head and rejecting the old man in the starry Taoist robe suggestion, the old man in the scorching sun robe ordered with a hint of coldness in his eyes, "Because even idiots have their value. Stars, order that idiot to use his identity as Destiny's Child to gather all the forces in the profound sky continent that he can subdue and then destroy the 4 great guardian families, the Zhongli family and the Kong family of the hidden families, as well as Old Man Yuan and Old Man Fuping of the wandering cultivators." "I know." Nodding his head, the old man in the starry Taoist robe also slowly closed his eyes. Shifting his gaze from the old man in the starry Taoist robe to the mirror formed by the old man in the silver moon Taoist robe, the old man in the scorching sun robe softly muttered to himself as he looked at the 10 places covered by the 10 drops of vicious beast blood essences. The material formed from the Destiny Steels contains a trace of the essence of the 10 great vicious beasts of the primordial era. Due to the connection between the essence and the vicious beast blood essences, the 10 places covered by the vicious beast blood essences will definitely be the locations where the Destiny Steels will appear this time. Thinking of this, The old man in the scorching sun robe raised his head and looked in the direction of Xianyang City in the southern region. His blazing eyes once again shot out two scorching rays of light. The scorching rays of light shot into the air quickly condensed into two enormous three-legged golden birds about 1,000 meters tall. Go! Go find the whereabouts of the Destiny Steels and lock onto the person who can cause the Destiny Steels to appear. Looking up at the two three-legged golden birds formed from the essence of fire, the old man in the scorching sun robe softly ordered. Chapter 1833. In the ancient forest, the moment the Thaling formation forcefully tore open the seal, Yuhauran quickly sensed the Destiny Stone Steel. He scanned the names carved on the front of the stone steel as he subconsciously stepped through the air towards the black stone steel. When he saw the names of Qin Lingfei, the sword without trace, and other close friends carved on the bottom left corner of the stone steel, he instinctively used the power of two laws to instantly appear in front of the stone steel. Then, he reached out his hand to touch Qin Lingfei and the others' names. When his finger touched Qin Lingfei's name, the originally dim name of Qin Lingfei's name immediately began to shine brightly. At the same time, the name began to quickly climb from the bottom of the stone steel, quickly reaching the middle of the stone steel. Before Yuhauran reached out his hand to touch Qin Lingfei's name, Qin Lingfei, who was breaking through to Emperor Wu's realm in the prince's mansion, had already decided to give up on the idea of breaking through to Emperor Wu's realm in a short amount of time after failing to break through twice. However, when her name on the Destiny Stone Steel began to shine brightly, the accumulation of potential and comprehension that came out of nowhere made her instinctively try to break through the bottleneck one last time. The result? It was a smooth process. She easily broke through to Emperor Wu's realm. Qin Lingfei couldn't help but begin to suspect that her breakthrough just now was an illusion. When Yuhauran's finger touched the sword without trace's name, and the sword without trace's name also began to shine brightly, the sword without trace, who had just broken through to Emperor Wu's realm, broke through two small realms in succession due to the sudden increase in potential and comprehension. She reached the peak of Emperor Wu's second-rank realm. This also made her begin to suspect that there was a problem with her cultivation. Yuhauran, don't touch any of the names on the Destiny Stone Steel. Just as Yuhauran reached out his finger to touch Yusiki's name, the Thaling in his sea of consciousness hurriedly warned him. What? Yuhauran stopped touching the name and asked in confusion. If the owner of the name touched by your finger is your friend, then they will receive the protection and care of fate. Not only will their cultivation and strength increase by leaps and bounds in a short amount of time, but their life and luck will also undergo an earth-shattering change. Just as the Thaling was about to answer Yuhauran's question, the rapidly shrunk in front of the stone steel and took the initiative to explain. If the owner of the name touched by your finger is your enemy, then they will receive the punishment of fate. Not only will it be difficult for their cultivation and strength to increase, but they will also be plagued by bad luck and may encounter an accident at any time. After hearing the black rat's explanation, a look of ecstasy flashed through Yuhauran's eyes. He immediately searched for the names of his enemies in his previous life and this life. His gaze quickly locked onto the Yushu Temple's fake child of destiny, Ji Xing, Master. Although you can use the Destiny Stone Steel to change your opponent's fate, you must bear the karma of changing your fate, which is the backlash of the Destiny Stone Steel. The black rat hurriedly reminded him when it saw Yuhauran excitedly reach out his finger to touch Ji Xing's name in the middle of the stone steel. There are many ways to deal with karma. It may consume the destiny aura in your body and ultimately cause you to lose your identity as the child of destiny. It may also damage your luck and cause you to fall into a calamity that you shouldn't encounter in the process of training and adventures in the future. In serious cases, you may directly lose your life. It may even implicate your loved ones and make them bear the chain of karma brought about by the destiny fruit. The black rat's reminder, or rather warning, caused Yu Haoran's finger to abruptly stop half a centimeter away from Ji Xing's name. Then, his eyes revealed an incomparably disappointed expression as he complained. "Brother Blackrat, since I can't use the Destiny Stone Steel to change my opponent's fate, then what use does a child of destiny like me have for it?" After hearing Yu Haoran's complaint, the Black Rat's eyes flashed with a trace of a smile. It directly appeared in front of Ji Xing's name that he was just about to touch, then stretched out its short paw and pressed it on Ji Xing's name. The tens of thousands of names in the middle of the stone steel all had a relatively bright light, but the moment the Black Rat's small paw touched the name, the light instantly dimmed, and the position of the name quickly fell, quickly falling to the bottom of the stone steel. At the same time, the fake child of destiny, Ji Xing, who was far away in the Yushu Temple in the central region, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His face instantly became as pale as a sheet of white paper. "No!" Without having time to wipe off the traces of blood at the corner of his mouth, Ji Xing, who was sitting cross-legged on the jade bed, immediately used his mind to check his own condition. He found that the cultivation of Emperor Wu, who had broken through with great difficulty, had directly fallen to the early stage of Emperor Wu's fourth stage. The cultivation that he had spent a large amount of cultivation resources and time to increase could be considered to have been completely wasted. This made it difficult for him to accept for a moment. Fortunately, the jade bed he was sitting on at the moment was still the ice essence that had been accumulated over millions of years. It had the powerful auxiliary effect of calming one's heart and eliminating one's inner demons. With the stimulation of the extremely cold air on the ice bed, Ji Xing, who had quickly calmed down, took a deep breath and began to carefully search for the reason that caused his cultivation to fall. In the end, he found that the culprit that caused his cultivation to fall was actually the second stage rank 7 pill that he had just taken that could greatly increase Emperor Wu's cultivation. The Sima family. When he thought about how the second stage rank 7 pill he had just taken had been given to him by the Sima family head, who had secretly pledged loyalty to him, a look of hatred appeared in Ji Xing's eyes. "Master, although you can't directly change your opponent's fate by touching the stone tablet, as the accompanying spirit beast of the Destiny Stone Tablet, I, Black Rat, can change and control my opponent's fate. This is the first heaven-defying effect of the Destiny Stone Tablet," the Black Rat explained with a smile after retracting its little paw from Ji Xing's name. The disappointment in its eyes was instantly replaced by excitement. After Yu Haoran glanced at the countless names carved on the front of the stone tablet, his gaze finally stopped on the Black Rat. "Brother Black Rat, even if you're the accompanying spirit beast of the Destiny Stone Tablet, with your strength at the peak of the 9th stage of the God Realm, there is no need for you to take the initiative to submit to me." Thinking about the change in the Black Rat's attitude before and after he revealed his identity as the Son of Destiny, Yu Haoran felt that during the process of it recognizing him as its master, there was always a trace of strange aura, so he couldn't help but want to find out the reason. After shrinking its body to the size of the Black Rat that Yu Haoran had met for the first time, it narrowed its small eyes and carefully took care of Yu Haoran before flying directly to the cliff that led to the primeval forest. Chapter 1834. In the primordial forest, the Black Rat returned to the stone tablet and pointed at the 9 chains that bound it to the Destiny Stone Tablet with a helpless expression. "Master, this is the first reason why I'm willing to submit to you." Then, the Black Rat pinched its short claws and quickly condensed dozens of imprints. Then, the imprints condensed into a vertical mirror. The image displayed in the mirror was the entire process of its meeting and getting to know Yu Haoran. "Master, although we've only known each other for a short period of time, I can clearly feel that you don't look down on me in the slightest just because I'm a rat exotic beast," the Black Rat said with a gentle expression as it pointed at a rather warm scene in the mirror. "This is a kind of respect and warmth that I can't feel from other living beings. This is also the second reason why I'm willing to submit to you." At this point, the Black Rat raised its head and looked at Yu Haoran, a helpless and bitter smile appearing in its eyes. If it weren't for those few days of interaction that tainted my body with the aura of your Destiny's Child, causing the Destiny Stone tablet to awaken prematurely and increase its binding power, I would have taken the initiative to meet you when you entered the primordial forest for the second time. So that's how it is. After hearing the Black Rat's explanation, Yuhauran finally understood why it had brought him the opportunity to fight for the immortal lotus when they first met. He also finally understood why it had never returned. Right, Brother Black Rat. After dispelling the doubts in his heart, Yuhauran's attention immediately returned to the Destiny Stone tablet. His eyes were filled with anticipation as he asked, "Apart from the first heaven-defying effect you mentioned earlier, does the Destiny Stone tablet have any other powerful effects?" "Yes." After nodding in response, the Black Rat brought Yuhauran to the bottom of the stone tablet. It then indicated for him to reach out and grab the chain connecting it to the Destiny Stone tablet. Faced with the Black Rat's signal, Yuhauran directly reached out his left hand without hesitation and grabbed the chain connecting him to the Destiny Stone tablet. And Yuhauran's unreserved trust made the Black Rat's small eyes flash with a touch of emotion. Just as Yuhauran's left hand grasped the chain, he suddenly realized that the environment in front of him had been replaced by an endless void. Countless stars twinkled in the void, giving him a very strange feeling. Swoosh! Just as he was shocked by the stars in the sky, a dazzling star in the southeast quickly streaked across the sky like a shooting star. This is the process of a falling star, the final bloom of fate, and the sorrow of being unable to escape the shackles of fate. Looking at the dazzling star that finally fell into the boundless dark void, the strange feeling that became clearer and clearer allowed him to vaguely grasp a trace of the trajectory of fate. This is the aura of a peak grandmaster. Just as Yuhauran's consciousness entered the endless void, a mysterious aura suddenly rose from his body. Just as he made use of the falling stars and grasped a trace of the trajectory of fate, the extremely profound and mysterious aura suddenly surged and quickly enveloped a third of his body. As a peak sovereign who had existed since the beginning of the world and had experienced the primordial, middle, and late Thaling, he had witnessed the ascension of countless experts who specialized in Formula Tao. At first glance, he could tell that Yuhauran's Formula Tao had advanced by leaps and bounds again. Thaling was shocked by this, but he was even more delighted and excited. This was because the higher Yuhauran's Formula Tao level, the more powerful his spells were, and the more accurate he would be at finding the 36 chaos marks separated by the Bell of Chaos Artifact Spirit. Violet Spirit, although your fate is intertwined with my master's, if you dare have even the slightest bit of ill intent towards him, I, the Calamity Spirit Rat, can still use the Destiny Stone tablet to destroy your soul. Just as Thaling was immersed in his joy and excitement, the Black Rat's threatening voice suddenly rang out in his ears. "You could discover my existence?" Panic surging from his heart caused Thaling to quickly revert to his victor form and ask in a trembling voice, "Violet Spirit, if I couldn't discover your existence, how could I have followed your words and explained the abilities of the Destiny Stone tablet to my master?" In the face of the Tower Spirit's fearful questioning, the Black Rat's eyes revealed a smug look as it reminded the Tower Spirit, "If I couldn't discover your existence, how could I have taken the initiative to threaten you just now?" "I understand." Thaling gradually calmed down after hearing the Black Rat's reminder and quickly figured out how the rat had discovered him. "The reason you were able to discover my existence isn't because of how powerful you are, but because the Destiny Stone tablet connects you, me, and Yuhauran's aura of fate. You and I can discover each other's existence through the aura of fate." "Smart." The Black Rat praised Thaling from the bottom of its heart for being able to think of the method of fusing the aura of fate in such a short time. After receiving the Black Rat's confirmation, Thaling, whose emotions had completely calmed down, directly left the victor and the sea of consciousness. Then, with a trace of contempt in his eyes, he taunted, "Fate-stealing spirit rat, if you want to use your cultivation at the peak of the 9th level of the God realm and your identity as a companion spirit beast of the Destiny Stone Tablet to threaten me, then I can tell you without hesitation that you don't have the qualifications. Is that so? In the face of Thaling's disdainful taunts, the black rat didn't get angry in the slightest and instantly appeared at the top of the Destiny Stone Tablet. Then, while looking at Thaling with a smile, it stretched out its short claws and pressed directly on the name of the space-time Victor carved on the tablet. In response, Thaling sneered without the slightest fear. He immediately summoned the main Victor in the sea of consciousness and directly activated the space-time energy and the 32 chaotic imprints within the Victor to form an absolute defense. However, the instant the black rat's small claws lightly pressed on the name of the space-time Victor, a special aura that could ignore all defenses caused Thaling's soul to sway within the Victor. After he stabilized his soul once more, his expression suddenly changed. His 10 fingers quickly formed several dozen imprints and merged them into the main Victor. The reason why his soul had been shaken was because the black rat had used the Destiny Stone Tablet to manipulate fate, causing him to temporarily lose contact with the main Victor. This strange method caused Thaling to feel incomparably shocked, and, at the same time, he immediately used stronger defensive methods. Chapter 1835. In the primordial forest, the black rat didn't show the slightest hint of panic in the face of the Victor's defense, enhanced by Thaling's secret technique. A disdainful sneer flashed through the rat's eyes as it looked at Thaling. Then, it suddenly pressed down hard on the space-time Victor's name. Immediately after, an extremely peculiar aura was still able to ignore the Victor's defense, enhanced by Thaling's secret technique, and directly affect his soul. This is impossible. The secret technique he just used to enhance the Victor's defense was something he, the Xinyuan sword, and the Bell of Chaos had created over millions of years by combining their different defenses and attacks. With his cultivation as a peak 3rd-rank martial god, the power of Victor's space-time origin energy and the Seal of Chaos, as well as the secret technique he'd used, the power of his current defense had already reached the level of supremacy. At this moment, even a true supremacy wouldn't be able to easily shake Victor's defense, much less break through Victor's defense and directly attack his soul. Therefore, after the shaking soul stabilized, Thaling's face immediately revealed an expression of disbelief. Although the chains that bound the Destiny Stone Tablet and the Black Rat could greatly improve his understanding of Formula Tao, they were limited by his own accumulation and experience. After reaching the peak of the Grandmaster realm, no matter how much he deepened his understanding of Formula Tao, he couldn't sense the bottleneck of Formula Tao to the Technique Emperor realm. With no other choice, he could only temporarily withdraw his consciousness from the void, astral space formed by the chains and return to his physical body. However, when Yuhaoran opened his eyes in delight, he saw a shocked Thaling standing below the Victor, and the black rat hovering at the top of the Destiny Stone Tablet, its little paw pressing on the space-time Victor's name. He didn't need to ask too much. He could guess that when his consciousness entered the void astral space, a fierce conflict had broken out between Thaling and the black rat. Although he didn't know why Thaling had exposed his existence in front of the black rat, and why the black rat wasn't afraid of Thaling, who could easily defeat a peak 9th-rank martial god, he considered that they were his closest elders and friends, as well as his most capable teachers and helpers. Therefore, Yu Haoran's expression instantly darkened in the face of the tense atmosphere. All of you stop. After hearing Yu Haoran shout, the black rat quickly withdrew its little paw from the stone tablet. Thaling then reluctantly withdrew his Victor. Which one of you can explain to me what just happened? Yu Haoran asked through gritted teeth after glancing at the tower genie and the black rat with dissatisfaction. Let me do it. Feeling Yu Haoran's suppressed anger, Thaling took the lead and explained the conflict in detail, as much as possible, for fear that the blame would fall on him in the end. In this regard, the black rat just looked on coldly and didn't say anything. Sigh. After hearing Thaling's story, Yuhauran couldn't help but sigh. Although the conflict between them was caused by Thaling's provocation, the Black Rat's inexplicable warning was also the fuse of the conflict. However, whether it was the Black Rat's warning or Thaling's provocation, their starting point was for their own sake. This made Yuhauran unable to take sides. He could only choose to change the topic and temporarily dissolve the tense atmosphere. Thaling and I have known each other for several years. During this time, I have also used the victor to resist the attacks of powerful enemies several times, so I have a good understanding of the victor's defensive power. Speaking of this, Yuhauran looked at the name of the space-time victor carved on the top of the stone tablet with a puzzled look in his eyes. Brother Black Rat, how did you break through the victor's defense and directly attack Thaling's soul body? After glancing at Thaling with contempt, the Black Rat stretched out its short claws and pointed at the countless names carved on the stone tablet. Its tone carried a trace of arrogance as it spoke. Master, as long as the master of the name carved on the Destiny Stone tablet doesn't have a cultivation higher than me, the Destiny Spirit Rat, then I can use the Destiny Shackles contained in the Destiny Stone tablet to directly attack their soul body and manipulate the rise and fall of their destiny. Speaking of this, the Black Rat glanced again at the gloomy Thaling and continued with a trace of a smile in its eyes. It's useless even if they have a peak supreme defensive celestial device. This is the third powerful ability of the Destiny Stone tablet. Z. After hearing the Black Rat's arrogant explanation, Yuhauran and Thaling couldn't help but gasp at the same time. According to the records in the Jade Slip given by the Black Tortoise, the 4 Protector clans, the 5 Hidden clans, the 7 Peak sects, and the independent cultivators all had supreme existences at the autarch level. However, due to the influence of the laws of the heavens and the will of the heavens, these powerful existences temporarily lived in seclusion in the endless void. Only when the calamity of the immeasurable calamity officially began and the situation of the entire continent was completely out of the control of heavens, could they return to the Tianxian continent and compete for a glimmer of hope to reach the eternal realm. In other words, with the Destiny Stone Tablet and the Destiny Stone Tablet, which had reached the peak of the 9th level of the Divine Realm, he could completely eliminate all hidden dangers that could threaten him before the immeasurable calamity officially began. As the Tower Spirit sucked in a breath of cold air, a sense of urgency welled up in his heart. He decided that while searching for the 36 marks of chaos that the artifact spirit had separated from the Bell of Chaos, he had to spend a lot of time recovering from the injuries to his soul and body. He wanted to recover the cultivation of his previous life before the life calamity spirit rat reached the sovereign realm. Otherwise, for a long time in the future, the fact that his skills were inferior to others would cause him to be suppressed by the life-stealing spirit rats. It would even affect his position in Yuhauran's heart. Brother Black Rat, other than the 3 powerful abilities just now, does the Destiny Stone Tablet have any other powerful abilities? After taking a deep breath and forcibly suppressing the joy and killing intent in his heart, Yuhauran continued to ask, Master, the Destiny Stone Tablet has a lot of abilities. I'm afraid I won't be able to explain all of them in 3 days and 3 nights. In the face of Yuhauran's questioning, the Black Rat suggested with a smile in his eyes, So, if Master really wants to understand the Destiny Stone Tablet and know how many powerful abilities it has, why don't you use your accumulated Son of Destiny's aura to completely refine the Destiny Stone Tablet? Yuhauran thought for a moment and decided to listen to the Black Rat's suggestion and refine the Destiny Stone Tablet as soon as possible to avoid unpredictable accidents. Chapter 1836. In the Primordial Forest. Brother Black Rat, in the independent space where you and the Destiny Stone Tablet are, is there a special mark that's dark gray in color and shaped like a bronze bell? Back in the Scriptures Pavilion in Jinyuan's tomb, when he had accidentally advanced to the Grandmaster realm, he had seen the mark of the Bell of Chaos hidden in the Primordial Forest. This was one of the main reasons he had returned to the primordial forest for the third time. However, before encountering the Black Rat and the Destiny Stone Tablet, he and Thowling had already used their peak divine senses to search the entire primordial forest more than once. They had even searched 10,000 meters underground, but in the end, they had found nothing. Therefore, Howren suspected that the Mark of Chaos was very likely hidden in the independent space where the Black Rat and the Destiny Stone Tablet resided. Howren's sudden question about the Mark of Chaos made Thowling temporarily put down his fear and look at the Black Rat expectantly. "Master, are you talking about this thing?" According to Howren's introduction, the Black Rat recalled for a moment, then opened its mouth and spat out a small, dark gray bronze bell the size of a baby's fist. That's right. After seeing the small bronze bell spat out by the Black Rat, before Howren could say anything, Thowling excitedly confirmed it and appeared in front of the small bronze bell in a flash. "This is the Mark of Chaos, separated from Brother Chaos' main body." Howren walked to Thowling's side and looked up at the Destiny Stone Tablet at the top of the Bell of Chaos, a trace of hesitation in his eyes. Thowling, according to Brother Black Rat's introduction, as long as the name appears on the Destiny Stone Tablet, it means that the person is still alive. Then, do you still want to continue using the Rui Bell's main body to help the Bell of Chaos regain its life? After hearing Howren's reminder, Thowling quickly calmed down and immediately looked up at the Destiny Stone Tablet. He looked at the Bell of Chaos in front of his name at the top of the tablet with a trace of hesitation in his eyes. Although he had refined the Rui Bell according to the shape of the Bell of Chaos, and it looked exactly the same in appearance, the materials used to refine the two and the special environment in which they were refined and nurtured made it difficult for even a firefly to describe the huge difference between the two. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Thowling didn't want to merge the Mark of Chaos into the Bell of Chaos. Therefore, after careful consideration, Thowling held the Mark of Chaos, suddenly bowed to the Black Rat, and made a request. "Life Calamity Spirit Rat, I, Purple Spirit, apologize to you for the conflict just now." In the face of the Tower Spirit's solemn apology, the Black Mouse hurriedly waved its little paw and said, "Violet Spirit, I am also responsible for the conflict just now. You don't need to apologize to me at all. Calamity Spirit Rat, since you are the companion spirit beast of the Destiny Stone Tablet, you are equivalent to the weapon spirit bred by the magic tool. You can certainly control the Destiny shackles contained in the Destiny Stone Tablet to understand and investigate the true situation of the owner of each name on the tablet." Thowling didn't straighten up because of the rat's gesture. He still bowed and begged, I beg you to use the power of the Destiny Shackles to help me check the true state of the Bell of Chaos Weapon Spirit at this moment." The rat seemed to be in a difficult position in the face of Thowling's pleading. After all, the Bell of Chaos was ranked first among all the names carved on the Destiny Stone Tablet. This symbolized the Bell of Chaos' superior status and its terrifying strength. Rashly using the Destiny Shackles to spy on the other party could easily cause the other party to counterattack and cause the Destiny Shackles to bite back. And the damage caused by the Destiny Shackles' backlash was also not easy for this companion spirit beast to bear. Brother Black Rat, if you have the ability to help, please help Thowling this once. He knew very well the true state of the Bell of Chaos Weapon Spirit and the impact it would have on Thowling's final decision. Therefore, Howren, who didn't know the consequences of using the Destiny Shackles to spy on a top expert like the Bell of Chaos, couldn't help but plead on Thowling's behalf. All right, it could ignore Thowling's pleading because they were of equal status and didn't know him anything. But in the face of the request of the Destiny Stone Tablet's soon-to-be master, the rat couldn't refuse at all. It could only nod helplessly. It reached out and pressed its short claws on the Bell of Chaos name on the tablet. Then, it carefully activated the Destiny Shackles contained in the tablet and checked the Bell of Chaos Weapon Spirit in the endless void bit by bit. When it successfully sensed the Bell of Chaos Weapon Spirit and discovered that the spirit cultivation had not only fallen to the early stage of the martial god realm, but also realized that it had fallen completely unconscious. It couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Then, it explained the true state of the Bell of Chaos weapon spirit in detail to you, Howren and Thaling. As a natural treasure born from the chaos at the same time as the Bell of Chaos, Thaling already knew what the Black Rat was planning after hearing about the true state of the Bell of Chaos weapon spirit. Therefore, he immediately made the decision to merge the Bell of Wishful and the Mark of Chaos. All right, after nodding in agreement with Thaling's decision, Yu Howren immediately separated the Bell of Wishful from his soul by force. Then, using a body condensed with his mind, he personally delivered the Bell of Wishful to Victor's door. Thaling quickly returned to Victor's consciousness space and used his mind to wrap around the Bell of Wishful as he rushed directly into the Victor. He began to use the Mark of Chaos to upgrade the Bell of Wishful's quality and grade. Brother Black Rat, how can I successfully refine the Destiny Stone Tablet? After the Victor's door closed again, Yu Howren's consciousness returned to his body. He looked at the Black Rat with eyes full of excitement and expectation. It's very simple. Master just needs to mobilize the aura of the Destiny Child in your body and merge it with the Destiny Stone Tablet. The Destiny Stone Tablet will tell you the specific refining process, the Black Rat explained. I understand. After nodding in response, Yu Howren continued to soar into the air and land on top of the stone tablet. He then sat cross-legged on top of the tablet and mobilized the aura of the Destiny Child in his heart. When the aura of the Destiny Child touched the Destiny Stone Tablet, a powerful suction force immediately came from the tablet and directly sucked Yu Howren into the independent space inside the tablet. Seeing Yu Howren disappear from the top of the Destiny Stone Tablet, the Black Rat let out a long sigh of relief. At the same time, it raised its head and looked in the direction of the eastern region with a trace of worry in its eyes. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.